Estoy bajado.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. My name is John Jagu. I'm your host for this evening. We have another distinguished panel of guests, and thank you guys for joining us on a very special edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Not only because it's
Taco Tuesday.
It is Taco Tuesday, a special Taco Tuesday edition of the CantinaMX podcast. And we have a special guest with us tonight. And we'll be introducing him shortly. But do want to jump right in with our usual panel guests out in Escondido, California. We have with us, I have no idea what's going on, but it sounds very interesting. But we'll find out. We'll get that information here in a second. But we do have with us out in Escondido, Daniel Preciado. Daniel, how are you? Good evening.
I'm doing excellent, John. Good evening, guys. Happy to be here.
And what are we enjoying tonight, Daniel?
I'm still basking on their under 20 glory of my Santos. So
they have what?
That's what's up right now.
How many of those guys that are out of the starting 11 are Santos players?
Three are starters.
Three. So out of them, was it like five that they sent? Three of them are starters. Wow.
Oh my God. I hope Joel is okay.
Yeah, I'm back. What happened?
Joel, it sounded like you were.
I thought he had a break-in.
Yeah, I mean, if I were Keith Jackson, I would be describing you as rumbling, stumbling. It sounded chaotic.
Oh, I don't know what that was. Maybe my neighbors.
It just sounded.
Yeah, I thought you were getting a beat down or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. That is Joel Aceves, who joins us from South Los Angeles. I wish I could say that we were piping in some of those sound effects, but no, that is just Joel living in South LA. So Joel, good evening. How are you? Another big weekend for Joel. I can't really. I feel bad, Joel, that I didn't just. I feel like you deserve the full Vicente there for the big win over the weekend.
I do. It was...
I mean, I almost feel, Joel, that you deserve a. So.
No, you know what, John? I missed most of the game, and then I managed to catch the last 20 minutes on Facebook. So I'm glad for that because, Chivas games are on Saturday, and it's difficult for me to see them. So.
Do you have a DVR, Joel?
Yes, I do, sir.
Do you not DVR the Chivas games and you watch them on your own time?
No, that's... I already know the score, so then it's like spoiler alert.
Well, I mean that's
just
true,
but
I mean, don't you want to just watch it to see how your boys did?
If it's an important, not to say Clásico Nacional is not important, but
can I ask you a question, Joel, a personal question?
Yes.
Okay, out of well, we'll say 2 weeks. We'll give you a 2 week period. How many times do you go on YouTube and look at Chivas highlights from days gone by?
Yeah, almost none.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Those are embedded in me, John.
That surprises me. I figured you'd do it like, maybe once or twice.
No.
Joel, your boys are in second place. They're in good position. They beat a team that should have beat. You must be. Are you cautiously optimistic, or are you still?
No, John. I had. At the start of the season, I picked Chivas to take it off. I said the comet. They're catching the 10-year comet.
So they're just meeting your expectations at this point.
I think the timing's right. I mean, you look at how the other teams are doing, and it's just, it's pretty much, it improves their odds.
I do find it interesting that we do have a resident Americanista who hasn't made an appearance, and I'm not sure if he will. Hopefully he will. I'm sure he will. But
Yeah, he's been MIA since this team, pretty much since the start of the season.
well, we expected them to struggle, but it seems like when you play your rival, at least want to put up a fight.
Yeah, was it like 0 shots on goal?
Yeah. I mean, that was like Chepo during the last hex. Bad.
Hey,
it was.
You know what, John? I'm trying to be excited, but 2 clásicos in 2 weeks, and it just didn't do it for me, man.
And then America has got another one next week, which is one of the reasons why we brought on our special guest.
That
You
is
might
correct.
know him from his Twitter handle at Soccer Mexicana. Lives in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. We're very happy to have him. Of course, I'm talking about Jason Markwitz. Marquitos, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Happy to stumbled into this cantina here and talk some Mexican soccer here. So that's good stuff.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Jason is a passionate Cruz Azul fan, which I'm sure a lot of folks maybe don't know the reason why, as to why Cruz Azul picked you, Jesse. I don't think you picked Cruz Azul. I think they picked you.
Oh, that's absolutely correct.
Why did Cruz Azul pick you?
I could go real deep on that one. There's a lot of psychological issues at work, I think. But
well, besides just like the what was the initial
the actual logistics of it?
Yeah.
Well, I moved to Mexico City. And when I moved to Mexico City, this was 2011.
What neighborhood did you live in?
I lived in Polanco.
Okay.
And my wife was working for the government, so we were there as diplomats. And I needed to find a team because I was, vaguely familiar with Mexican soccer, but I didn't really know much about it when I moved there. So I set out to find a team. So quickly realized I had 3 options and immediately eliminated one of them, being America. It was just not an option. Just someone compared them to Manchester United early on for me, and that was a deal breaker. And everything I knew about the team, I just realized that was not the team for me. So it came down to Pumas or Cruz Azul. And Cruz Azul was a lot easier to get to on the metro. And but it really came down to I just knew a couple people that were Cruz Azul season ticket holders, and I kind of latched on with them and just became one myself. And it became a first season, just this is fun to go to the games. And then I quickly realized I kind of like fate met up with me in this team, because this team is just the team I support in all leagues and all sports. This is just my team. This is perfect, and grew to love them over time. And they've hurt me many times for it, but I continue to do so.
Now living in Polanco in Mexico City is almost the perfect neighborhood, especially for someone who likes soccer, because if it's like the furthest north the metro goes practically in Mexico City.
Yeah, it's a straight shot too.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So there's like 4 metro stops.
Were you the tallest man in the metro? Is that not a freaky feeling?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Is that not just totally bizarre when you're standing in there and you're like, man, I'm like a good 4 inches taller than the tallest person.
I mean, usually it wasn't the tall thing. It was like pushing around a baby stroller, like in the middle of the day kind of feeling that usually made me like stick out in Mexico City more so than the height.
The other nice thing about Cruz Azul is that they really have, for someone who lives in Mexico, the perfect home scheduled game time. 5:00 on a Saturday. The weekend hasn't really started yet. You don't blow the whole night, and
right.
And then you have all day Sunday. It's just it really is. It's I can certainly see the attraction.
Other than rainy season, like when it's just you go and like that's when the
that's true.
Starts at 5 every night in Mexico City. So
is that not the coolest thing about summer Mexico City is that at 5:00 it's going to rain?
Yeah, I mean there's nothing but consistent. I mean you have that. But yeah, unfortunate for those games. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was the perfect time, and just I love going to those games. I certainly miss it a lot now that I'm back in the States.
Now, honestly, did you when you were living down there and you started to go to Cruz Azul games and you saw that one condo there where you could watch the game from your terrace? Did you at least entertain the idea of having that conversation with your wife?
The thought crossed my mind for sure.
Yeah.
I know how that would have went, but yeah, the thought crossed my mind.
So now that they have the grappling hooks in you, at what point then did you start learning about their history and who their great players are? And
so I mean, while I was there, I mean, I just we moved to Mexico City on about a 3-week notice, and I had like zero Spanish when I moved there, and so when I moved there, I mean, just trying to learn about Cruz Azul, but trying to learn about the league in general, and it was difficult because there wasn't a lot of English content out there. So it was a slow process, and like right away, I was just curious about this team and curious about the league, so I started diving in and reading what I can in my sad Spanish. But and that's when I decided to start writing about Mexican soccer, because I just saw like, okay, there's not a ton about this in English. And through that, writing about it little by little, just learning more and more. I mean, it just kind of started happening naturally after that first season.
And then the heartache followed. Now that's not normal for Cruz Azul, though. I mean, that's something that just happened recently. But it's just one thing that I've always liked about Cruz Azul, and this I go back some, is that they have been consistently have always been one of the top teams in the league, and just they're always in the playoff. They're always in the playoff hunt. Obviously, they've made a lot of finals recently. I mean, that's not a small feat. They've always been a great team, and they have some of the most iconic players in Liga MX history played for them. So I mean, they are as big a team as you can get in the Americas, Cruz Azul. There's no question.
I think what we're seeing with Cruz Azul right now is an anomaly. I mean, most of the time they've been one of those teams that's right there. One of the best teams in the league, one of the teams you expect to at least go into the playoffs before disappointing, but one of those teams that was going to be there. So I mean, yeah, it's a rough spell right now, and I mean this, like, for right now, like, this isn't really the heartbreaking part. It's just kind of it's disappointing and depressing, but like the heartbreak comes when you have those expectations of something great and it's taken away, like it's happened so many times with this team.
Yes, that is something that we'll try and avoid talking about throughout the course of the night. But
I don't want to start crying. So
no, well, we will, but we will dig into it a little bit. I mean, I feel like sometimes Joel, when he's able to just unload some of his the Chivas guilt that he has, that I feel it's like peeling a layer of an onion, and
just go gentle.
And Joel, it's a very cathartic experience for Joel. He has to go sit in the recovery room after the podcast for a few minutes.
That's Mexican football, though. I think where our culture is very negative. No, I don't know any other national team that has so many.
Can I tell you, Joel?
Yes.
That when Mexico lost to Holland, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. The minute the game was over, my sister called me, and I answered the phone, and we didn't say anything to each other for about 3 minutes. I mean, seriously, it was. I'm not gonna lie. It was one of my saddest moments in the world of watching games. It was rough. It was tough.
Didn't you have a sad moment recently with the 3-0 plus? I heard you turn.
No, dude, nothing is worse than losing, for a soccer fan who has just a gigantic vested interest in a World Cup team. Nothing is worse than watching your team, regardless of how it happens. But when you're out, man, it just sucks. But to be out the way that they did, it was just.
Mine was still Japaria.
Oh, Ron came.
What's up, guys?
Same here, Ron.
Ronnie De Luna joins us.
How are you doing, guys? I'm a little under the weather right now, man.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Ronnie. I would say grab your favorite. Maybe we should have a nice cup of tea. Maybe that'll make you feel a little better, Ronnie.
I don't know, man. Playing with my brother's kids, man. They tend to get me sick, man.
Did you
A
not
hot toddy. Hot
What's that?
toddy. You should fix yourself a hot toddy right now.
Ronnie doesn't
Yeah.
drink though, so he has to have like a really potent tea.
Yeah, just chamomile with ginger.
I thought he drank pulque like religiously.
No, he only
No.
drinks agua ardiente. That's all. That's the only. Ronnie,
Yeah.
you had a. So you're under the weather. Now, is it really because your kids or your little nieces and nephews
Niece and
got you
nephew.
sick, or is it because things got a little rough Saturday night at the end of the game with
I think. Honestly, I was kind of just. I hate to say this, but I think I'm turning into holy. Where
Oh.
it's like, where
Are you
just
going to
kinda want them
are you going to
fail.
become a self-loathing America fan?
It's like Hoyle reminds me of the character from Major League, Randy Quaid, Major League 2, where he's just constantly just berating his team. You know, that's. I'm like, I think I'm turning into that guy.
Nobody watched Major League 2, man.
Yeah, that's. Might as well talk about Caddyshack too if you're going to bring up Major League.
That's a great movie, though. Man. That's a great movie.
How many holes did you stab into your wall?
Chiquis, is that you? Did you join us? How was your shower, Chiquis? Chiquis sets up the show, our technical director, and then goes and I guess he feels so dirty for being responsible for putting this on the air that he goes and takes a shower and then comes back.
GPs is
shower.
our Scotty, like
Yeah.
like from Boogie Nights.
So
He's the
Albert
technical
Campa,
That's what he is, dude. Scotty.
He's holding the
that is
microphone.
hilarious.
I'd be-
That is hilarious. Albert Campa, how are you, dude?
Hey, doing good. I was just mentioning I was asking Ron how many holes he stabbed into his wall after the America lost.
Nah, it wasn't this time. It wasn't this time. That usually tends to happen when they play against Toluca, for some reason. Because I got a lot of cousins, man, that are choriceros.
Oh, so they let you know that the team's played over the weekend.
Well, it's like, I think what bothers me about Toluca, same as Pachuca, is like
Se creen.
exactly, but
Yeah,
they don't
I know what you mean.
they don't get that same pressure. Like if they fail, you know. And I mean, right now, yeah, they're in a little slump now. I'll admit that America's in a little bit of a slump right now. But come on, crisis? I don't know. I don't know about that.
Now, do you think things are going to be over with La Volpe at the end of the year, regardless of what happens?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, his contract is up, so remember that.
I don't see anybody in the market right now.
Joel, who does America want to bring in, Joel?
El bombero.
Well, I mean, after that.
Oh, not to rescue them? No, Gallardo.
Yeah.
El muñeco Gallardo from River Plate.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, I mean, it could work, or it could be when they brought Pelado Diaz in.
I think that Pelais. Look, if it was Romano, yeah. If Pelais is more football orientated, so I think Pelais knows that this is not really La Volpe's team, and I think he'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and he'll allow La Volpe to build the team.
Well, the one thing that La Volpe
You
has
sound like
done,
a La Volpe apologist, Ronnie.
You know, they asked La Volpe after the game about what had happened, and of course, he answered the only way he could is that he always.
Yo siempre digo que el fútbol algunas veces, en mi punto de vista, es como un ajedrez.
I mean, does he ever say anything else?
I've said it. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. I think I think you're going to miss the La Volpes, the Mesas, the La Puentes when their time is over.
Oh, there's no question. Now, do you think that he should have been red carded for the foul that he committed? I mean, he got all ball.
All ball.
So
You know what? I wish he would have had that facial expression of like in the movie Kingpin when Ernie McCracken was asked about the paternity suit, and he responded all nonchalantly. It's a no case. Okay, I pulled that way too early. It's one of those.
right.
The game hadn't even stopped, if I recall. I mean, it was already out of play. So, technically, yeah, you could card him for that because he's not supposed to be on the field. But,
Well, but I mean, to me, I mean, it was a clean tackle. It was, I mean, even when the ref blew the whistle, did you see his initial reaction?
Yeah.
He went to the ball and goes, "Hey man, I got all," but he literally looked at the ball and raised
the
his arms.
Chivas
Hey,
player
man,
took a
that was all
dive.
ball. It was all ball.
The Chivas player took a dive also. He just dumped himself on the ground. I was like, come on, man. You can't let La Volpe knock you down like that.
So.
But the zero shots on goal, Ron, he had to be a little disquieting for you.
Yeah. I mean, right now, America, I hate to say it, but they're also a hospital, man. They have a lot of key players, or a lot of players that are hurt, you know. So
Like who?
Well, Aguilar's still not back. You know, in fact, they had what was it? Who's the dude that does all the cartoons? He used to do them on Medio Tiempo. I forget his name. Terrazas, I think. He had a pretty cool cartoon couple, you know, before the Clásico about the players that America, are either riding an injury or just not playing to their full self. But I
So
think
he was setting the table for.
No,
Now,
but
Dan, you have the list. What number is injuries on the list of excuses as to why America lost?
They didn't play well at all. They didn't play well at all.
Well, that has to be a little frustrating. Now they have another Clásico coming up against Cruz Azul, and that's going to be at the Aztecas. So
That's I hate to say, I know Jason's on here, but Cruz Azul can be like a Gordi Guapa right now, dude.
Well, but you know what? Cruz Azul could say that about America too.
You said about Chivas though, man. You said that about Chivas last week.
Nah.
Well,
yeah, you did.
I think what the point that Ronnie's trying to make right now is that right now for America, anybody looks good right now at this point. They got to get a win somewhere. So
yeah, it's like that saying in tiempos de
I thought he was calling everybody ugly.
trinchera.
Oh, okay.
But you missed the real reason why they lost. And I said that last week. The reason why they lost was because they got rid of all their players and then bringing them back to help.
Yeah, I mean,
because La Volpe is prone to failures, as his history shows.
My thing is this: you don't get rid of key players, especially in the December break. That to me was stupid. Getting rid of what's his name, Munoz. Getting rid of
right, and then expect everybody to play the same with a week's worth of practice.
Exactly. That to me, that was just a bonehead move. And honestly, if I was a betting man, I'd bet that on Romano.
Pepe Romano, yeah, that's causing a break between him and Peláez.
If that means that Peláez can go back to the national team, then so be it.
Do you think he would go there though, John?
I think that he would if I guess this is a topic that we can bring. It seems like that the influence that his bosses had over that particular team appears to be maybe possibly waning. It might not be a bad time for him to do it.
I don't think Peláez is going to be in the national team. I think it's going to be for some time. I think it's the Grupo Pachuca, Grupo Garzo that are going to be running the national team after 2018.
They've been pushing hard.
And you heard it here, folks. I guarantee you that Diego Alonso is going to be the coach.
No, that wouldn't bother me so much.
Because I mean, knowing the way Martinez and them work, I mean, Alonso's already got a title and stuff, and obviously they're going to push their people.
Now, Diego Alonso was, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he a central when Hugo was coach at Pumas?
I believe you're right.
Yeah,
I believe you're right.
So frankly, that wouldn't bother me that much. But yeah, so I guess my point was that if Peláez has is on the outs with America, then he would have no reason if there's a group that has more influence over FMF for him to to take a gig there. Because
I think he should
go to Necaxa is where he should go. He should bring back Necaxa.
I think what you're going to see is similar to what you saw back in the early '90s when you had the TV wars. Between when Azteca became private,
Right.
account company, and then Televisa basically said, all right, well, you're not going to play in the Aztec Stadium, so they started playing games at the Azulgrana, and they brought in their coaches, Menotti and stuff like that, the guys from TV Azteca and them, and obviously, what happened back then was just a war of attrition, and eventually, Televisa, obviously with the resources that they had, they were able to win out, and things calmed down after that. Now this is going to be a different fight, as far as the internal struggles that you're going to see between the Televisa, Grupo Carso, Grupo Televisa. At this point, I don't even think that Grupo, what's his name, Salinas
Grupo
Diego.
Salinas.
I think he's going to be like the fluffer of the group. That's what I think. It's going to get interesting, dude. It's going to get really interesting.
Well, Slim, you got Slim there. Then.
No, that's Grupo Carso.
I guess the first real bellwether to determine who which way the thing is leaning is after the World Cup, when they announced the TV rights for the national team, and then see who gets them.
Yeah.
Oof. And we'll see how that works out. But we do have a Clásico Joven, gentlemen, and I guess we could say it's a must-win for
John. We need to stop calling it that, though, man.
It's not. I mean, it's going on 40 years.
So just call it a Clásico.
40 years, man. Mexico City derby.
Clásico Capitalino.
I'll say this, and the stats back me up. Like America and Cruz Azul, they've played in more important games against each other than America Chivas or America Pumas.
I agree.
I was saying that wrong, and I caught a lot of.
It's the truth. Those two teams are the teams that have played the most liguillas. And
more important matches.
Well,
Exactly.
we talked about that earlier about just the history of Cruz Azul as a team that for going on since the 60s have just been consistently very good, so it makes, and America has been the same way. I mean, that they really have been. Joel, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep down the bile, but they have been the most consistent teams in the league for 50 years, at least since in the Liguilla era. There's no question.
I forgot which season it was, but it was during the Peláez era. But prior to that, Cruz Azul had actually played in more liguillas than America since the 1970s.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So I mean, obviously with the slump that that Cruz Azul is in, and obviously the success that America's seen in the past 5 years or so.
When I was a kid, I hated Cruz Azul more than I hated America. Because they won all the freaking time, and it was it used to drive me crazy. And they used to beat my Pumas in the finals. It was like there was the one team we couldn't beat when I was a kid. It was like, eugh.
Mine was, I said,
exactly.
That was a good one.
Exactly. So
for me,
so Jason, it's like I wish that hopefully one day you'll get a taste of that, because I mean they really were just a very special team.
They were la máquina.
Oof.
I don't know. For me, like, it's still the lesser of the three Clásicos we just talked about, because at least from my experience in Mexico City, it was always like, I mean, obviously the Clásico Nacional was always the biggest, but I don't know that America Pumas rivalry, just on those match days in Mexico City, it was, I mean, it's like it took over the whole city. I mean, just everyone sporting one shirt or the other. It wasn't like that with Cruz Azul. I mean, there were always big matchups, and like you guys said, I mean, like there's been so many big ones, and playing in all those important matches over the years. But I think just the hatred and just like the absolute must-win situation between Pumas and America just seems a lot more. I don't know. Just it always seemed like a bigger occasion.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I've always thought that America Cruz Azul is like when the Dodgers play the Yankees in the World Series. That's just my personal opinion as far as what I would consider the two historically best teams. at least in my lifetime.
Yeah, and maybe it's just really about like the fan bases and like maybe even like the supporters groups in Mexico City, and like I don't know, just like those always seem like the biggest occasions, the America Pumas.
No, I do have a very important question to ask you. I know that, did you go? I'm sure you went inside the Cruz Azul fan shop when you were there.
Yes.
Like the official one.
Yeah.
Do they still have the Miguel Marin goalie shirt for sale?
I have no idea. I don't remember that.
Because he wore a very Ron, was it white with blue stripes, like horizontal?
Sometimes the pictures that I've seen,
right?
sometimes it was white, blue, and a little bit of red.
Right.
And a little bit of red. So I mean, he wore a couple different ones, to be honest, because I've seen lots of pictures of it. So it wasn't just one jersey, rugby jersey that he wore. He wore a couple of them.
Well, I would hope that he, and if you get to be a really good goalie, Cruz Azul, they should at least, let the guy, give him the option. Hey, man, you can wear this for the season if you want. It'd be a really cool way to honor him, because I would have to say, and I've been watching the league for a long time, and Ronnie, I don't know if you got a chance to see him, but he was easily the best goalkeeper that ever played in this league. Miguel Marin. I think that if you think of like the top 5 foreign players in Liga MX, Miguel Marin is definitely considered one of them.
Yeah,
he was absolutely terrific. Except for his one awful autogol. Poor guy. You ever seen that, Jason? You ever? No. Should Google Miguel Marin autogol.
Yeah,
and
that is an infamous one.
It's I'll just let you watch it.
Now, one of the things with Cruz Azul, though, man, I don't want to, quote Miguel Sabake, que da miedo, that they but one of the things that, that would concern me with, Cruz Azul, and this was especially true in the late 90s and early 2000s, is like, I mean, these guys were getting stacked players. I mean, they would get national team players from not just,
Yeah, but they always had national team players. I mean, if you look at the makeup of the World Cup from the 1970s, 60s, even through like you said, the early 90s, man, the team was America, Cruz Azul, Pumas, and Chivas, and occasionally some other teams.
But they would actually get players from like Argentina.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, so did I.
So I mean, we're not talking about, and no disrespect to the other South American teams, but I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, the ones like players that played for America that were playing for those type of the national teams of that caliber was for example, it was Celada. Right. Although he didn't play in the World Cup in '86. Who was it? The Goicoechea?
Well, they had the Paraguay.
Goicoechea.
Yeah, Julio Cesar somebody. I can't remember what his name is.
He's the one that received 5 goals against Colombia in the qualifiers. But no, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't him. I forget his name. No, was it Nery Pumpido? Anyhow,
well, Nery Pumpido was an Argentine goalie.
Yeah, Argentine goalie. But they, I mean, like when they had what's the name, Chelito Delgado, and they had also the other Delgado, and they had that other guy, Luciano Figueroa.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were both in the national team with Bielsa.
Yeah.
Man,
I mean, that team was stacked, man. Like every position.
I think that's the only time Argentine national team players have been in in Mexico.
Chelito wasn't a starter for Argentina at that time. I remember watching him.
He was. I mean, remember they were coming up through the U under 23, and they were starting to become playing for the full national team.
Well, he played them. He played them at the Copa America.
Right. I mean, they weren't consolidated, but they were basically prospects. Prospects like
They took chances. It was a low risk for them, and then and they hit it big. I mean, America's philosophy back then was to get guys, squeeze a couple of years out of some names.
Yeah, I mean,
not necessarily a retirement league, but like a guy's last contract, basically his last chance to make big money.
one of the last guys, one of for example, a team like from when they had the dude Jose something Dirsu or Disao, Brazilian, who played in the 78 World Cup. No, I'm sorry,
Right. Yeah, in 78.
In 78 and 82, but he was the one that magically said, that phrase that's now very famous in Mexico about, I give my teammates balls and they give me watermelons, referring to the poor quality of the league. I think that was just a dick. That was just a dick, though, man. You don't say that. I thought he's, balones y sandías.
Okay, a question for y'all. So I'm watching the Pachuca Saprissa game.
Yeah.
And Pachuca had a breakaway, and the Saprissa guy like grabs. It was a Chucky actually grabs him both hands, pulls him down. Obviously, professional. I mean, should that not be a straight red? I mean, not necessarily for the severity of the foul, but stopping a breakaway.
If he's through on goal, yes.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, they had two defenders behind him, so he wasn't the last.
Well, either way, I mean, it was. I mean, so there has if he was the last defender, then it's an automatic straight red. Otherwise, it's just a yellow. Okay, just checking. All right.
But did you see the play before where Chucky he had almost a wide open opportunity to see a goal, and he just
did he duff it?
Tapped to the goal, right to the goalie, pretty much.
He did a Luis Hernandez.
That was pretty disgraceful.
Oof. Was
Hey, but I had a question sort of a question for Jason, going back to the fans and just the hate between rivalries. I told you guys before about when I went to Azteca to watch the Mexico-Canada game, and the guys behind me were just like rambunctious Pumas fans, and they were pretty much yelling and cussing at Layun and all the Americanistas that were on the Mexican national team. That was their whole purpose in life as fans back there. So Jason, when are you saying Cruz Azul doesn't have that type of fan that'll just like hate on any player that's not, that's on their rival?
Well, I think everyone has those fans, but I don't know.
Okay.
I've never I've been to like a lot of different of the stadiums around in Mexico, and just about every single one of them I'd be okay with being an away supporter and wearing my away shirt into that stadium. I would never dare do that, walk into the CEU with an away shirt on. That wouldn't go well.
Unless if you were with a group of people.
I wouldn't do it, man.
Really?
I don't know. I've seen some stuff there. It gets I don't know. That bunch, it could be a rough crowd. Those Pumas fans. I don't know. I would say those are some of the toughest in Mexico, at least from my experience. And I wouldn't mess around at that stadium.
But you're okay to go to Aguascalientes and wear your Cruz Azul shirt.
How
many stadiums did you go see Cruz Azul play?
Let's see. Most of just all Mexico City and the ones around Mexico City, so like Toluca and Pachuca, Puebla, Atlante.
Did you become a Cruz groupie and follow the team around? Did you?
Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Just the occasional one to go to. It's pretty crazy because I go to Toluca all the time, whether Cruz Azul is playing or not, just because of just being on a Sunday and not conflicting with the other games. And I could actually get to the stadium in about an hour from my apartment, which is probably about the same time I would get to Estadio Azteca from my apartment.
Did you ever go to, you live in Polanco, right? Did you ever go to Taqueria La Selena? It was behind the Camino Real.
I think I have. That sounds like a place. Yeah.
Surely you went to one of the many tizoncitos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of consumption going on, but yeah. No, I don't know. As far as the different stadiums, I don't know. I think the Pumas stadium is really unique in that way, and it kind of is. I don't know. Because I think the atmosphere in a lot of stadiums is very, for the average league match, is pretty tame. We didn't see that this past weekend, obviously, but Pumas
it used to be tamer. Can you believe that? Can you
It's hard to
believe
believe
Jason?
that. It's hard to believe
used
that
to be.
because it's pretty tame right now.
Oh man, I got to see this is like early '90s, and I remember you know, you will see a lot of families, and you will see people of like, it would be like friends wearing the rival jersey sitting next to each other, and you
Yeah, I mean,
Necaxa had like this really old dude, man. I forgot his name. He would wear a top hat, but he and going back then they would at the stadium they would use the matracas. You guys remember?
Oh yeah,
Matracas, which I don't even know how to explain it.
it's a
John,
soccer rattle.
they, they had rattles, and some of the cheers was like the bim boom ba, you know, the chiquitibum type, pretty tame cheers. And then slowly just they started infiltrating this, you know, South American style barra bravas. Even though I'll say probably out of all of them, probably Pumas had the more like the more noisy one, but pretty much the rest of the league, just out of the blue, man, almost like night and day. You started seeing these supporter groups. This the very Argentine style. They say that started importing them. They would actually bring in players from Argentina, not players, you know, barra bravas to
Professional
help,
fans.
yeah, to organize the.
So is that the reason why the songs are so similar?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, I mean, they're probably a year or two behind, but yeah.
Joel, I think we need
They're
to start our campaign to get Chivas fans to at the very least do the ay 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 from Guadalajara when they're, you know, in the if they're winning the game, you know, in the minuto
Hey,
88 or whatever the hell it is.
they tried, you know, they tried because you had all these groups calling themselves barra bravas, and some of the Chivas were trying to say we're gonna call ourselves ultras. You know, they wanted to separate, but they didn't go anywhere.
I mean, Joel,
They didn't last
seriously,
long.
for this song to sound good, even when this guy, I mean, it boggles the mind that it's not more a part of the
You're too old.
the fan experience.
Too old school, I think, John. I think the young kids these days are more into other.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily. I mean, old school. I mean, it's just if it's a traditional part of the.
Yeah, the city.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
geez.
that's well known.
Young kids are into reggaeton and that stuff, man. That'd be what? That'd be jamming.
Hey, man, that's all Mexican fans in general, though. For some reason, they just don't take advantage of all the resources they have, all the influence they have to pull songs. You know, the way they do it in England and Argentina, where they take lyrics from songs and stuff. And in Mexico, they could easily do that. They just choose not to.
Well, I think Tigres fans are the closest to doing that. They copy a lot, but they have some original lyrics.
Well, you know what? And we played one of the songs, man, and from that group, Tres. Man, it's a tongue twister.
Tristes Tigres.
There you go. I couldn't do it, John.
You have to really concentrate.
To get that right there.
See, I could say San Juan de Parangari Cuturimicoro till the cows come home, but I can't say Tres Tristes Tigres to save my life.
Yeah, but that's that's a group and they did a song about America, which is pretty funny, man. And they also did they changed up the lyrics on Canta y No Llores, and I'm saying, and we were talking about this in one of the podcasts. Mexico fans could easily do that in Mexico.
Isn't that all England fans do, or just take famous songs and just change the lyrics?
Yeah, it's true. You're right. But here's the thing, though. You know this, that the Mexican market.
Well, you know,
it has tons of.
America has a song.
Yeah,
I mean, geez, wouldn't it just stir your loins to hear the crowd sing that?
No, what I'm saying is that, you know, Mexico has no shortage of musicians. You know, in many genres. So to me, it boggles the mind that they don't use, you know, the songs, you know, homemade songs. Like, you know, for example, when back in the 2004 before the 2004 final between Pumas and Chivas, when what's his name, Molotov came out with that song Me Vale Vergara, or what was it?
Right.
Vale,
You know,
but
Ron, I'm so shocked, Ron, that you don't think that this was catchy enough for the America fans to pick up and sing when their glorious America team is winning.
You know what? I still think that was stupid. To even it's like it's just another date. You know.
I believe Cruz Azul is next on the Centenario chart, if I'm not mistaken, or they're very close to it.
How exciting!
Now you have that new coach there, the Spaniard. Is it James? Is that the guy's name? James?
That's him. That's him.
I mean, surely they're not going to get rid of him. I mean, they are going to give him a chance to at least.
I certainly hope so. I hope he's given a chance to really see what can become of this team. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, but yeah, hopefully there's just a little bit of consistency, and they kind of give it a few seasons with him and see if they could really turn it around. Because at least he's just a different option than what Cruz Azul has had recently. So it gives a little bit of hope that maybe things can get back on track a little bit. But I don't know. It looks like the team looks very much like the team we saw last season right now. And that necessarily you can't really lay that at the feet of James right now, being just with a short season right now. But man, it would be great if they could at least get a win. This would be a good weekend to start with that.
Do you think that Cruz Azul needs to just change their leadership from top to bottom?
Desperately. I mean,
when I say that, I'm talking about not just bringing in recycling names and faces and stuff like that. I'm talking a fundamental change as to how the team is structured, because right now the way it's structured, it's basically it's a cooperative. It's like almost like it's not a nonprofit.
It's
like the Packers, but a lot less successful.
Exactly.
You wonder how much that lends to the continued lack of a plan and direction that this team generally has.
Because here's the thing, when what's his name, Billy Pop had it, they were a machine. So it's a double-edged sword, because if you have the right person, basically playing God and steering the ship, you could have the glory days like they had them in the 70s and even in the 80s, although that belonged to America. But when you don't have the mechanisms and you don't have the right people in front, it seems to me that the problem lies within how the club is structured. Now I'm not going to say that they got to go corporate, they got to go Sociedad Anónima. I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, but at this point, should they try it?
Perhaps. But I mean, it ultimately comes down to just, as you said, it just comes down to just having the right person in there, and whether that is changing the entire structure to get that right person. But changing the entire structure doesn't guarantee you getting the right person to lead the overall plan with the team, as far as actually setting up an actual youth academy, actually looking at the type of players you're bringing in, and really assessing what your long-term plan is and how you're building a team. It all comes down to who that person is making those decisions, and however you set it up, it's just got to be the right guy.
So for me, my distant view of Cruz Azul is that I think it's a classic case of too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Because I mean, I don't know if you recall, this must go back some 7-10 years, when the Aguilas brothers were basically going at odds with each other. In fact, to the point where there were gunshots at someone's residence. I don't know if you guys recall.
Well, somebody had to send a message, Ron.
Yeah, so and then there was the Garces, because they're also into the mix. So, I mean, there's a couple families, and it just, for me, it just seems like it's a classic case of too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
So, Ron, did you say it's like that scene at the end of Amores Perros when the guy who had hired? Was it the brother hired the old man to kill him,
Oh yeah.
and he puts the gun between them both and said, "Y'all figure it out." And they have the big struggle. Is that what Cruz Azul is right now? Is that are the two brothers struggling for the gun to kill one another?
Well, I don't want to paint the picture that it's that drastic because look, because at the end of the day,
should Jason consider changing teams?
No. At the end of the day, Cruz Azuliar, it's getting to almost to the finish line, and then just failing miserably. So getting to that finish line is hard enough. It really is. And to get to and almost getting to that finish line consistently is very, very hard. So something has to give. Something has to give. So I mean, they brought in numerous coaches. They brought in numerous, players. So at one, you have to start thinking, okay, well, maybe it's the top brass.
It's the people making the decisions. Now, who is the right person to make who? If you could pick, like the Carol Brady, the perfect mom person to run Cruz Azul, if you are your ideal, who would it be, Jason? Who would be your ideal guy?
I'd keep away from the stars, like
other than Tomás Boy, of course, who obviously
Tomás Boy and Hermosillos. I would keep away from them. Living off the past.
Yeah. I don't really. I don't know. I don't know who the person to anoint is. I don't know. I would almost like someone who is just. I don't know how you get someone who is ingrained with the team and understands the kind of the mental baggage with the team a bit, but also isn't weighed down by it. I don't know. I'm kind of contradicting myself when I say that, but I want someone who has some understanding of the team and what they're all about, and can at the same time have a plan and a direction. So I don't know. I don't really have a guy. I don't really have a name for you, but
I got a name for you.
All right,
I got a name for you. If things are happening the way you're saying they're happening, Ron, in America, Peláez would go to Cruz Azul in a heartbeat.
Oh, I don't know, man.
He absolutely would. He
go
absolutely
go against, because I heard that Cruz Azul came close to signing Piojo, and from Televisa they said, if not to, because they're gonna keep him in mind for the national team or to bring him back to America.
So what would that have to do with Peláez on the outs?
It's sort of like, it's like, just don't go over there,
Yeah, but
Just
Peláez has no allegiance to America. He might have it to
But yes, but I mean, I think those,
What did you say about Peláez? He has no what?
He has no. He has allegiance to the company, not to the team.
Or to America?
Yeah, no. He has more allegiance to Televisa than he does America.
Well, yeah, true. Because he debuted with America, but also played with Necaxa.
Right. I mean, that's where he is.
You said Necaxa. I think that would be more likely. Stop. They have
it would be the bold move that Cruz Azul needs to get him out of the doldrums.
You mean replace Yayo, the greatest coach in the world?
Dude, the guy's name is Yayo. You can't have Yayo running your team. You just can't.
He has some bad luck because they brought him back.
That sorry to interrupt, Holy, but that comment reminds me of the movie When Harry Met Sally. When Harry's talking to Sally, and it's like, hey, when was the last time you did, and it's like, oh, his name was Ira. He goes, no, and Ira cannot rock your world, and Ira can do your taxes, and Ira can, defend you in a court of law, but and Ira cannot, do that.
Oh man.
Anyhow, sorry. Yeah, but you're right. It's in the name.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the name.
I think his timing was off. They bring him in to start a project, but when they brought him in, they already had started a previous project, which was Tomás Boy and some of these other, players. And then,
man, Tomás Boy is like my biggest disappointment, man. That is it is a tragedy what has happened.
So and now he finally gets a chance to work on his project, but the team has been mismanaged. That
He
they're
was,
they're in relegation now. They're going to be in danger. They're going to enter the relegation zone next season. So now
Jason,
it's like,
have you pulled out the calculator? Are you are you
no, I'm thoroughly in denial on that.
Do
No,
you-
I won't participate in that kind of conversation.
so you don't look at the porcentajes on Monday
I just remember like
as a journalistic exercise.
I just like keep thinking back to when, always looking at that, and Cruz Azul would just pretty much always be at the top of that list for years there.
Well, you need to check again.
I'm just gonna keep pretending that's the case. And move on.
So I think that's going to affect, that process.
No,
It's
but-
like they were going to try to have for something what he's trying to do, it's going to take long, but then given Cruz Azul situation, they might not be able. And I think I know who they could bring next season if Chemis doesn't end on a good note.
Your boy?
No, not my boy. El Rey Midas.
Vuse.
He's going to be available, man.
He is available.
I mean, he can't coach him this season, but next, hey, I would already be talking to him.
Well, if that's the case, then it wouldn't surprise me if there's a bidding war for him then, for sure.
Cruz Azul, I think, look, one of the things they've been lacking is a quality striker. They haven't had one for a long time.
Right.
They had Bravo, and he couldn't score with them.
They were
He
so
scored-
desperate, they brought in broken Santa Cruz.
They had Santa Cruz, and then they had Alemão. Now they got some guy called Cartelucho Quemado,
And
They can't get it right.
Gutierrez can't score in the final, but he scores in the World Cup.
So
That ball, oh God.
I couldn't believe that with Colombia, that was their starting striker. Really? That's the best y'all can do? No offense to Teofilo, of course. I'm sure
If
he was
just
obviously he did
stuck
very
around
well.
with Cruz Azul, I don't know. Like he really like found form there that season. And he let that I think it was Chaco's shot that he let go in that final. And he just stood there as it hit the post and it just rolled away.
Cruz Azul is one of those teams that it just seemed like they always seem to have struck gold with some of the guys that they've brought in, and then also, they paid for Mexican players too. They brought some of those guys in too, so they always seem to.
Yeah, they've been lacking that Hermosillo type character,
We talked about Joel about players, getting a number. The 27 obviously is the number in Cruz Azul for the striker, but it seems like la venden muy barata. They just give it to any schleb that's they let Chuletita wear it for come on. So I mean, I like the honor, but I mean, be a little bit more, be a little bit pickier when it comes to who you're gonna give it to.
Yeah, that dude, I forget his name, man. What's that Argentine guy? He was crying the other day. I keep forgetting his name. He's, I think, number 10.
For Cruz Azul?
Chaco? Yeah. Chaco, there you go. He's been like their figurehead, but he's just been unlucky, man. That guy really feels for the team, but as hard as he's trying, as talented as he's been, now he's at the end of it now, but they haven't had, like, when they had Palencia or when they had Hermosillo, they just haven't had a player of that, of that caliber that could carry the team.
Oh, it's been an absolute revolving door at the front for Cruz Azul, and they just haven't, like you said, they just haven't found the answer. I mean, last season there was just Caneo Benitez was the only person that could potentially score, and he's just like a solo artist up there. I mean, he's head down, kind of doing his own thing all the time. And, the Cataruccio, just the early returns on him are pretty bad. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like, just even this season, and they're setting up tons of goal-scoring opportunities. The midfield is producing and getting balls in there, and it looks like they have potential to score, but there's no one that wants to put it away.
Do they not have can't they throw
Jason.
just like a young 18-year-old? And he's surely got to be better than what they have.
Young players of any kind would be great for this team.
Do they? Who's the? It seems like how many How many locals suit up for Cruz Azul on a Saturday? Like if you think of the starting 11 in your head.
There's Mendoza. I'm not sure where he originated from, but I mean he's a regular now at right back, and he's not good, but he is playing.
Is Cata Dominguez, is he still in Cruz Azul?
He is, and like he seems to have finally just. I mean, Cascata has always been a quality center back in the league, never national team quality, even though that's been forced on him a few times. But just a decent Liga MX center back, and he's really like absolutely hit a wall. Because I mean, like Cruz Azul's defense, like the center back pairing right now is. I mean, for as bad as that the forward line is right now with not putting anything away, like the center back pairing is a disaster. I mean, they're just giving up these just cheap goals after cheap goals, and Kata's a big part of that. It's a shame because
is it because they haven't played together, or is it because they just suck?
It seems like individual errors to me. I mean, Julian
it's stuff that's
Velasquez is
fixable.
there, and he just seems like a disaster. He's on loan from Palermo right now, and I'd perfectly happy if that loan ended today. And he was just
you bring up the youth and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, old Cruz Azul player, what's his name, Clay Koyman, American,
right?
I think he's been working with youth for like the past 7 years. I think he was working with what's his name, what is it that Thomas Rong, what's his name,
Rongen
or something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously he captained Cruz Azul, as well.
No, is Clay Koyman doing that at Cruz Azul, or is he just doing it like here?
He was I know he was working, like I remember reading about him like maybe about 3 years ago or something like that. He was working with youth. I forget with which team, and I remember Thomas Rongen and stuff like that. He was working with him as well. I don't know, maybe
whatever they're doing.
So he's like anybody, just try something different.
I think it's just bad luck. The team is just cursed. You can bring, like Ronnie was talking about, bringing up like new front office and all that stuff. You can bring in all of that, new coaches, new players, and they've had good players, and it's still gonna turn out bad.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, I mean, the luck, has to change.
For the amount of like resources they pour into it, and like the amount of like varying player acquisitions, just so much waste. It's just so like the decision making is so poor. I mean, because they're really just, I don't know, just the collection of South American talent they bring in is just, and there's so many that come in where there's so little hope when they arrive.
Well, I guess the question is, I mean, are they actively pursuing these players, or are these players being forced upon them?
Yeah, that's right. That is the question.
Well, Dennis has been doing well. Previously was doing really good. Tito Villa used to be really good. So they've had players that seemed like it's a good team, but it's just when it comes to the end.
Well, I mean, it's just until recently that Cruz Azul started to slide. I mean, they're like Jason said. I mean, this has happened before, and they'll snap out of it. It's just.
But as far as the decision making goes, I mean, you think about, I'm complaining about the center back pairing, but it could very easily be Nestor Rojo and Jair Pereira right now. I mean, these are two players that were with the team and played very well for the team. I mean, that could be the center back pairing, and then you have like a stalwart defense in Liga MX right now, in comparison to the disaster they have at the moment. So it's all about the decision making, letting go of like, I mean, I don't know. I think it makes sense to sell your players to Chivas at times for a good chunk of change, but I mean, letting go of these players like that just doesn't make any sense. Especially with the youth, like, I mean, letting go of Nestor Rojo so early, and he was young when they let him go. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's done really well, almost to the point where we thought that we should start a Twitter account for his beard, because he really is playing well. Now there was some soccer on today. I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch it. I think I caught like maybe 3 minutes of it. But the Champions League, and it turns out, and I was like, I couldn't believe this. Just when you're at work and you get sucked in, that they scored. It was 14 goals scored today. There was 6 in one and 8 in another. Wow, that's a lot of goals for any league, but especially the Champions League.
Yeah, some crazy games.
Did you get to watch him, Jason?
I watched Leverkusen. Yeah, Atletico.
Yeah. Now, Leverkusen, it seems like they're better suited for the Europa League.
They're going to be there shortly. So.
Oh, are they if they're eliminated? Is that where they go?
Oh wait, no. I think we're done with that, right?
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was the third place.
My mistake. But yeah, that didn't go very well for them today, and like although they stuck a couple goals in there, they were pretty well handled. I think that majority of that match did. Atletico really took it to them, and it could have been a lot worse. Surprisingly, they could have scored a few more.
Yeah, well, I mean, Leverkusen, I always thought was, if they ever did make the second round of the the round of 16 is where they would go. They just don't. I mean that is yeah.
Oof.
I did see. I think it was the second goal where a guy just completely mishit the Leverkusen defender. Just almost like an elementary school mishit, right to one of the French forwards for Atletico, and they just went the 60 yards to score on a breakaway. It was a tough game for Leverkusen.
They dedicated the win to Lucia.
Did they really? Or are you?
I'm joking.
Funny. No, Chiquis, is that something you want to talk about? Your
yeah, I can give my opinion on that real
Chicharito.
quick.
No, and of course, yeah. I mean, you don't really know if this is true or not, so just keep that in mind.
Well, I know I'll only say what is true, and what has been said by it's sort of a one-sided statement. Chicharito hasn't said anything, I don't think, about this, but Lucia certainly has, and she said that she hoped that he would be more loyal. She wasn't expecting that. He didn't support her really when she was sick fully, and she was disappointed in that as well. So to me, if I want to go to extremes, I'd say Chicharito's a scumbag, and unless he comes.
Well, no, hang on.
Whoa,
hang on,
calm down there, Cheekies.
Yeah, I mean,
calm down. It's not like he did a Tony Romo and left Jessica Simpson at the parking lot of a Waffle House.
It's not the best part. It's a very naughty boy.
Yeah. So now
that's extreme.
Now her deal was that he wasn't there enough when she was sick. Is that what she said?
Yeah, I think she said something like she didn't feel the support fully, because I think he was there initially and then he left, or something happened, because didn't he take some time off?
Chiquis, why are you taking her side, man?
Because of what she stated.
Well, what was the other thing she stated?
Loyalty. That there's a lack of loyalty.
What does that mean?
Well, we all know that he left at some point, and
no, we don't. Come on, Chiquis, we don't know that. It's just her word against his.
No, there's pictures, aren't there?
Cheech is a God-fearing man, dude. He prays before each game.
All right.
Except he didn't do it at Celtic.
They told him not to.
They told him not to.
He did it in silence. I don't know, Chiquis, man.
Yeah, those are pretty rough words, Chiquis.
Well, unless he comes out and states his opinion.
Why does he have to?
Hey, this girl before Cheech was supposedly making the rounds at Real Madrid.
Well, yeah. Why does he have to say anything?
Well, his name is getting smeared. He should he should clarify things. And that seems to be
maybe she's smearing him because he smeared on her. I mean, what?
But I guess my question is, I mean, there's.
I'm tired of that it came out wrong like that.
Why would he have to do that?
Why not? I mean, that it seems to be the trend. We see Tuca doing the same thing.
Tuca had a fight with my wife, so I have to come on and tell you that, as a matter of fact, I did leave my socks on the floor. So I just want to clarify that. I mean, come on, dude.
Well,
it's none of our business.
If you're going to give an Ernie McCracken type interview, you have my blessing. Yeah. If you're not going to do like Ernie McCracken, just don't do it. Keep it hush.
Could you imagine if they asked Tuca a personal question at one of his press conferences like that? Hey, Tuca, heard you're stepping out.
Usted no me va a decir qué carajo tengo que hacer.
I mean, seriously.
Well, they exposed Tuca. just recently in his press conference. It
For-
wasn't personal, but they exposed him pretty good, and he came up
for
BS
what?
response.
Hey, John, do you have that clip of Maradona? At the
No,
press
no,
conference?
I don't have it. Oh, no, I don't. I don't. But again, this all goes
'Cause
back.
he did say with all due respect, and he said, and he apologized to
with
the
all
ladies.
due respect. Okay.
Me la sigan chupando.
Oh, that's right. That was the press, right?
Yeah,
I don't buy it, Cheekies.
Yeah, I don't buy it either, Cheekies.
Cheech lives with his whole family, dude. His grandfather, his sister. He's like very family oriented. He's not the type to go out and party and
Okay, well,
I mean, for her to come out publicly and air out this stuff. I mean, you have to wonder what I mean, why on earth would anybody want their personal business like that? I mean, there has to, I'm saying there's, public people don't make moves like this, there has to be a reason. And I just don't think that
how can things
that
change?
her intentions are.
They might not be, but let's take the facts. How can things change so quickly? He was engaged to her, right? She was
We
sick.
don't know that.
It was public.
That they were engaged?
They were engaged, yes. They were going to get married in the summer.
I never saw a ring.
there was rumors though. I would say that much.
Yeah, I mean, because
And all of a sudden it changes.
But Cheech never said it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he never claimed it.
Oh man, you guys are fanboys.
Cheech, Joel, and I
Fanboy.
summer at St. Bart's, man. We talk to him all the time.
The holy
We
Cheech.
never saw a ring on it, so I mean, let's.
You guys got a picture of San Chicharito on your wall, man.
I do. I have the candle, man.
But seriously, Chiquis, I think again, this all goes back to the Madonna whore thing with athletes. Is that why do athletes have to be choir boys off the field? Why?
No, they don't. I'm just saying. That's if everything was true and he did indeed do that, then
And you know what? It's none of our business.
exactly. But I have the right to say, man, that guy's a scumbag.
Oh, I think you were holding on to that.
Just like I can diss.
You were holding on to that, Cheekies. Something
like-
happened a while back, and you were just waiting for the right time to strike.
Well, I can strike also on that too. That's like my second
Dude,
beef.
why? So do we need to have a cheeky rant segment for you from now on?
This is a morality rant because Tuca incited. Well, he didn't incite the fans, but he said when you guys go to Monterrey, you're gonna see what's up. And then when he went back with a press conference in Monterrey, they asked him about that, and he came up with a BS excuse saying, "Well, you know what? They're gonna come back, and we're gonna come, and they're gonna be secure. It's gonna happen." As if that means, oh, it's okay. My comments are fine.
No, well, he said that it was in the heat of the moment. He said,
Exactly.
I'm seeing my fans, the fans of the team, and he called them that they're like brothers getting beat up. He's like, what did you want me to say?
Yeah.
He's like they felt hopeless. He's like not even the cops were being able to do anything
that's not the
about
first time Tuca does that, by the way. You remember a couple years back, when he was with, in fact, there was an incident between the Pumas and Tigres, where he got into a verbal exchange with some fans from Pumas, just like, and he was basically inciting, a round of fisticuffs. You guys remember that?
I don't remember that one.
How dare you, both of you, smear Tuca's good name?
I'm not smearing it.
Here on
I'm
our
cool with
show.
that. It's passion, dude. It's like that
He
Televisa
definitely has
reporter
a lot of passion.
that basically said that if you don't accept that soccer, that those dimes and diretes, those piques are part of the game, you might as well play marbles. You don't deserve to, you don't deserve to play football or even be around it.
But it's
part
like
of the game.
I agree with that. But
Yeah.
to me, it seems like okay, he can't control his emotions. He goes so over the top.
What's wrong? But that's how he's always been. Why would he? Why is that? Why is that a problem?
Because you have and I posted it on the Facebook. You have fans in Monterrey who aren't soft and aren't going to be the security's there. We're going to be grateful or nice to our visiting opponents. They're going to come out and do
They
some.
won't remember, man. They're not playing till a couple months from now.
Hey, Cheekies, what if they do this? Like, did you ever watch the movie The Other Guys?
No.
Like in the funeral scene where they fight, but it's like
I thought you were going to say the Warriors.
Yeah, no, it's like they're fighting, but they're trying not to make a scene, and they're being professional, and they're arguing like really slow, like really soft, and they're just fighting each other where like no one watches them and stuff. What if like they do that? Would you be okay with that?
No, he can full out scream.
But they're being they're being
They're
considered.
being gentlemen.
Yes.
They're being gentlemen hooligans.
I don't agree with being a gentleman. He can yell, he can cuss at him, he can do everything he does. But when he says, "Okay, we're going to get you back," then that's lowering yourself down to their level. What is he going to say next? Oh, you guys smoke marijuana? Well, we'll smoke weed in our stadium. Let's go do it. That's sort of the same thing.
Again, I don't understand why you have a problem with this.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, but if somebody goes to Monterrey and something happens, you could partly blame that statement for that.
Well, it's not as if they're playing Veracruz. I mean, like they'll schedule it to where they don't play for 6 months and it'll be totally forgotten.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly.
And I brought up the other statement he made. I think 2 weeks ago.
How dare you besmirch Tuca?
This is another smear on Tuca, and I mentioned it, but it just was blown off. He was talking about the team diving, and he called them, what did he call them? Mariconadas.
Yeah.
so the whole campaigning for getting rid of the chant, and he comes out and says this, and that's like a culture type of thing. That's you're a wimp while you diving, but it could be, or it's it's even worse than the Puto chant winner. Straight up saying, that's gay. So,
so are you saying that Tuca isn't allowed to make a mistake?
No, he can do anything he wants, but he's going to get called out by me. He'll be lessened in my image.
Do you know who the comedian Tom Segura is?
I've heard of that name.
All right. Well, I want you to find the skit, the clip. That's gay, and he talks about he talks about something being gay because it's gay, and then he's talking about something being gay because there's an actual two tree trunks rubbing against each other.
Yeah,
but it's a funny skit. So when Tuca says something like that, like mariconadas, is it crude? Yeah, but is it meant to incite violence? Nah. It's in the
I'm not saying
it's the context. It's the context. Like would I say that as a public figure? No, I wouldn't. But
well, see now Tuca, you have to understand that he gets, he has like extra hit points because when he speaks, he's Spanish. He has such a cute Brazilian accent when he speaks Spanish that he can almost get away with saying anything. Seriously.
And you also have to take in consideration. In fact, and this is not just me saying that. This is a lot of foreign players that obviously go to Mexico, and after living many years, one of the things that that they realize off the bat is el doble sentido and how things are said nonchalantly. But without the intent of being malicious. So it's in context, dude. It's not.
Yeah, I think Ronnie, what you might be saying is that Mexicans cuss a lot.
Oh, well, think about it. I mean, puta and madre and stuff like that. I mean,
Jason, do Mexicans cuss a lot? Did you hear a lot of cussing when you were in Mexico City?
No, of course. I mean, there's an art to it, right? I mean,
it is, and believe it or not, it's a beautiful art.
Did any words stick with you that you ended up saying without even realizing it?
Sorry.
That laugh says it. Hey, I don't know.
Remember, this is a rated R. This is a rated R podcast. You can say
it. Yeah, you could say it. But La Volpe just fired some shots, man, at Gemes.
I saw that.
He called them a vendehumos.
Wow.
He said,
that is that the first patada de ahogado there, Joel?
And he said that's what Mexicans. He said, I'm gonna read his quote. No me gusta
Joel,
hablar de los DTs. Excuse me.
You have to read it like La Volpe would say it. I mean, come on.
I don't have that Archie accent. It didn't stick with me. But he said, no me gusta hablar de los DTs porque debo tener un respeto. Pero el vendehumo siempre se nos puso en México. y me considero mexicano porque aquí me formé. Entonces el vende humo les gusta. This was in reference to Jimenez
Wow.
and their upcoming match.
He's wrestled, man.
Wow.
Yeah, he's talking about some of the new ideas he's bringing in. He's saying
Just
it's just
call them the
smoke.
music man.
Well,
Smoke and
it's all right.
mirrors, man.
He can say that because it's not like he's going to be out on the field anyhow.
Well,
Well,
you
that's
don't know.
right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Chiquis Garcia that's going to be on the pitch. So it's not like he's going to have to be down there with James and stuff like that, you know?
Ronnie, I had an America coaching question to ask you. I noticed that when La Volpe is coaching, he had even if he was wearing a suit, you could still see that he had 2 or 3 gold chains, right? Chiquis took the more casual approach. He wasn't wearing the tie, because he didn't think he was going to have to go out and coach. But no gold chains. Do you have to win an America game to get your gold chain as a coach at America?
Trying to think who had some. You know what? I think it must be like a foreigner thing because I remember Reynoso, dude. He used to have these he used to wear these tight baby gap type of shirts and have that hairy chest, and he just had these gold chains just all on him when he was coaching. In practices, I remember seeing pictures and videos of that stuff. I don't know. I think it's just I'm not one for flair. I mean, I don't wear.
Would you
wear stuff
prefer,
like
if Chiquis wants to go this way, would you prefer him to sit next to La Volpe for, was it 2-3 years that he's done, or do you want him to go coach the U20s to get, if he really wants to do that? I mean, is that the Chiquis? Is that the next step for him?
No, I think the next step for him is coaching first division.
Let me ask you this: if La Volpe, and let's I know this is crazy and it would never happen, right? But if La Volpe somehow didn't finish the season, would you rather give it to Chiquis, or would you bring
Chiquis
bring
would
the
leave
Cabezon? Do you think he would leave with him?
out of respect.
He's already stab his Yerno in the back and just, or Suegro rather, just give
Not
it
if he
to him
plans to
and
sleep.
stay.
Not if he plans to sleep with his wife again.
Well, maybe she's the black sheep. Maybe he's there's just as a professional courtesy.
Yeah. There's actually a funny interview. I need to find it about La Volpe and how Chiquis came about being his nephew.
Well, wouldn't his daughters go to the training?
Yeah.
To the
And
team training sessions?
well, because keep in mind that hold on, who's the other one? Davino,
Yeah.
Flavio Davino, and
Tulio.
Chiquis.
Oh,
Chiquis.
Didn't
Garcia.
Chiquis play for America?
Not to my knowledge, no. He played for Toluca. He played for, I think, Cruz Azul
It was
for a
Toluca.
while.
That's right. So he went from because he's a Pumas guy, and he went from Pumas to I forgot that he got that Toluca. He was pretty good, Chiquis. He wasn't
believe it
bad.
or not, to his credit, and although to me I thought it was a bullshit excuse then, when he included him in the roster and excluded La Volpe and Bofo.
Oh, that he needed a left-footed midfielder.
Well, not that, but he also said that that Chiquis Garcia had his that no one could dispute his credentials and his resume because unlike a lot of players, Chiquis actually did go through the entire program, starting from the under 17s, under 20s, 23s, and then off to the senior team. So he was a part of every single team. So I mean that was one of the talking points that La Volpe had about his his son-in-law.
Well, I mean, nobody certainly doubts that he wasn't a good player. Just
No, he was. He
point
was
in
a good
his career.
player. He was a good player, but he shouldn't have been on that team.
Right.
That was already past his prime. But no one can, like you said, no one can deny he was a very good player. And,
you know what was more disappointing when they tried to organize a boycott in Mexico City to try to get Cuauhtemoc back.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're gonna rally at El Angel.
God bless that man.
And hey, since Ronnie's quoting movies, it's almost like old school. When Frank the Tank says, streaking, we're gonna go streaking at the quad.
And he just goes out by himself, not realizing.
Yeah, and there was only like 5 people that showed up to that rally.
Yeah, I remember that. That was gold. That was comedy gold.
Was
Oh,
it
man.
now? How many people now did it beat the Save Atlante rally that they had at El Angel, where eight people showed up for that one?
Oh man, they were
Poor Atlanta.
they're probably about the same.
Man,
But I mean,
Atlanta needs to
for-
come back into the first division, and they need to build a proper stadium in Cancun ASAP.
why not return somewhere like, back to Mexico City?
And let Venados or whatever the team is in Merida go play in Cancun.
Yeah, man. Atlanta should have never left.
That's right. I agree with that.
Absolutely, and then Necaxa should have never left.
Yeah, there's a lot of rivalries right there, and that's the whole thing where I go back to the Clásico Joven. You don't need to call it's a derby, it's a Clásico. You don't need to give it names, just give it the importance and especially like now that there's more tournaments and it starts from the youth teams when they're always playing. That's one of the things that has kept Chivas Atlas relevant. That a lot of these players have been playing each other since the
That's
youth.
the only thing.
Pretty much the only thing, yeah. Atlas has been, pretty much. No one would miss them if they went down to second. So it's the same, in Mexico City, you had all these teams that could, share a stadium or they're close by and just given time they would build rivalries.
Well, now that Atlanta is in Cancun, they really do need to, or if they have a presence down there, need to really make a concerted effort to put a proper stadium there so they can have Club World Cups, which I insist would be a much easier sell than going to Tokyo in December.
Did any of you guys watch any of the international games? Yeah, yesterday or today?
I caught a little bit of the Leverkusen. I think Jason got to watch the Leverkusen.
Yeah, watch that one.
I watched like maybe 15 minutes of the Arsenal.
The FA Cup game.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a shame. I kind of wanted them to go a little deeper.
What was the final tally?
I think I stopped watching it when it was 2-0. I
stayed 2-0.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they have chances?
No, they didn't.
Or did it look like when Mexico
they were out of their element. They were out of their element.
They had like one shot, something like that. It wasn't good.
Hey man, I would have been proud with the one shot.
That's more than America.
I thought you were talking about the guy eating the pies.
Oh,
touche.
Wasn't it an Arsenal game with the guy eating the pies?
Yeah.
But he's inspirational.
Although he was potentially paid to do it, apparently so.
Yeah, he inspired.
Yeah, so are they going to kick him out of the team? So wait a second. So
yeah, he was fired. He's gone.
Well, that is very unfortunate.
He was part of the story. The keeper. But yeah, who else is in the FA Cup? Didn't they have another low level team or like a non-league team?
Lincoln City, and they won.
They're in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
I know that they beat. Who was it? In the last minute, like with a header.
Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley.
Jason watches his EPL, man.
I do.
We should just bring him for EPL when we talk EPL.
I actually I'd rather watch an FA Cup game than the EPL. That's just me though.
You like the finality of it?
Well, I love its structure.
It's a great structured tournament.
It is. It's to me, it's the greatest structure in all of football. I think it really is. And I know Holy, we go back years talking about it. He knows that I'm a big fan of the FA Cup. And I just think, it's a beautiful, tournament. I think they should do away with the League Cup. I don't even know what it's called now. It's a Milk Cup or I forget what it's called now, but it's the one with the only the three lower divisions and the Premiership, which most teams don't even take serious anymore.
Yeah,
unless you're in the middle. Oh man. All right, boys. I gotta call it a night, man.
You bailing on us, Ronnie?
Results before you leave, man.
What's up?
Joel, should we hit him with just one last little shot before he goes?
Yes.
I was expecting Satfleet instead, but I guess that'll do.
No, but what is your prediction for?
For the joven? I'm sorry, joven. El capitalino, or just el clásico.
Yeah, clásico capitalino would sound way better, man.
I'm gonna give one of those stupid, like John Madden, super obvious comments. Like, well, if they can score, I think they can win. You know?
Wait, you guys gonna be that the striker's still out, right? I forget his name. Paraguayo.
Cecilio.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is he still out?
Honestly, Holly, I really don't know. I really don't know if both teams are coming in pretty.
And what level, Ron, would you say has your self-hatred of America reached? Are you at an 8 like Joel is, or are you like still down toward the bottom?
I'm still towards the bottom. I'm still toward. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that I'm so busy that I went 20-something years, almost 20 years, never missing a game. And within the past 5 years, I don't watch like every game, so it's like I'm starting to. I'm just so busy right now that sometimes I don't know, maybe I just don't feel it because I don't see it every day, like I used to.
Yeah, something tells me, and I could be wrong, but if America was doing a little better, I think that your interest level might be peaked just a little bit.
Well, if it's keep in mind that the fact that I'm in grad school right now. It's obviously takes a lot of my time. So between work and school, and I don't get to watch as many games as I'd want.
Cuauhtemoc Blanco would slap your face right now for that comment, for not giving your team the proper time and respect it deserves. He's like grad school.
I think it's one of those comments like that, to quote the movie Fever Pitch, the one about Arsenal, when the mom tells the young boy, "They want your money, they don't want you." That's what I would tell Cuauhtemoc.
No hablen antes de los partidos, por favor, que siempre les va mal.
Did you guys ever watch that movie, The Fever Pitch, the one about with Arsenal?
I saw only the Gringo version where they turned it into the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
Was there an English version?
Yeah, obviously that's Nick Hornsby's.
I read the book, but
I read half of the book.
No, that was actually it was a good movie. I mean, you had two actors that came out to be pretty big, actors, and obviously Colin Firth, Oscar winner, whatever. But yeah, all right, gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Jason, thank you for coming on. Good talking Cruz Azul with you. Beto, lower your salt intake.
I'm wearing a Cruz Azul jersey this weekend.
Okay, I figured that. What were you gonna say, John?
I was gonna say have a good night. I'm sad that hopefully you'll feel better, Ronnie. So
all right. Thank you guys. You guys have a good night.
Just one more. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
It's all right. I deserve it. I've been an asshole for too long.
Take it easy, Ronnie.
All right, later.
That was Ronnie De Luna joining us from Jason. He's down in. I think he says he lives in. I forget if it's North Philly or West Philly, but he's a Houston boy that lives in Philadelphia now.
He has a truck.
Yeah, you should go and
he has to give you a free meal.
That's right.
With extra guac.
You know what we could do,
Nice,
gentlemen, is we could send Jason undercover.
Oh, yes, we can.
Give us some background though. I went over there to Philly and I tried to drop by and it was closed. He was hiding from me. I had to leave a note at the truck.
I told him I was working Copa America last summer. I was doing some of the graphics on some of the games for the World Feed, and I was in Philadelphia for 2 games, and it just so happened that Ron had a quote unquote family reunion when I was coming into town, or I was at class. He had a class reunion. I was going to be there the whole week. A class reunion, yeah. Very convenient. No, but he also has a restaurant in Philadelphia whose name eludes me at the moment. But I'm sure that your money would be no good there. No good there at the restaurant. You know, we've actually had quite a few comments on the chat, which I'm a bad podcast guy because I never look at my. I look at a different screen.
That's usually Chiqui's job, though.
Yeah, that's right. He is our
His hatred has been too concentrated on.
Yeah.
I just now got on and I saw it and I was like,
and Chicharito's, loins.
Well, there's like there's a lot of people. Like Afro Sanders on there, Christian Farias, even Steve Guiso was on there for a little bit, I guess.
Christian Farias is on. Ivan was on. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the chat. Let's see if we have.
Blame Chiqui's guys because he's supposed to set up telephone calls and.
That's right.
He's not even doing that, man. Yeah. He goes and he takes a shower, dude, and
I'm telling you, he's so disgusted, Joel, that he has to put this out for people to hear it. That he has to go cleanse himself before he even starts.
Is it a hot shower or a cold shower, Chiquis?
His recovery's better if it's cold. Muscle recovery and such.
And then he puts on a bathrobe.
We did have a question earlier about America and whether Buse is if he's a real option. Thoughts?
I heard America was looking at him.
I think it depends who is controlling, because Buse is the type of guy that he needs complete control. Not 100%, but at least So who knows what that was the same with La Volpe, and he seems to be getting. But if that goes, if that doesn't work, because I don't feel Pelaez is part of the whole La Volpe thing of wanting to bring him here. Pelaez was dead set on Nacho. He even said if he leaves, I leave. But they somehow convinced him to stay. But I don't see Vucetich going to America.
Cruz Azul is more of Vucetich's speed anyway. He would do very well there, I think. But at this point, I think Cruz Azul folks would be willing to try just about anything.
I don't know. Like for me, it just it goes back to it's not really about the manager. It's just more systemic issues going on with the team. But I mean, maybe if the control was really fully given over to a manager like that, maybe it would help.
I don't know, man. This guy, 9 games, not able to win. They did bring him some pretty good players.
Yeah, but you got to give him time, Hod. I mean, you can't expect him to do it all overnight.
I mean, I would, but the way that Liga MX is set up, you're not gonna get it,
But that's just ridiculous. I mean, that's
but this start when they only won the first game against Necaxa, I think it's already worse than when Thomas Boy was.
It's almost like I don't think anything is worse than Thomas Boy. Anything ever.
No, the thing that you have to watch out for Cruz Azul, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if they've had 2 really bad seasons because of the way that the relegation formula is set up, is going to hurt you for a couple of years. So if that's the one thing Cruz Azul has to worry about is they can't have a 13-point season in one season and then have a 14, 15 points. They cannot allow that because that will put them in a very bad spot for the next 2 years.
Well, them like starting over next season would certainly help that along. So I hope they just continue and just plug in the gaps, because I mean they certainly have some gaps in the roster. They brought in players that, some of those players that they brought in fairly recently are sitting on that bench and just can't even crack that starting roster. And I don't think that's an issue of him as just not playing them. I mean, like, I think we have, I don't know, like you look at bringing in like the Chilean players they brought in with Gato Silva, Enzo Rocco. I mean, different ends of their careers, but you think either one of them can contribute something, and neither of them can see any playing time. So I don't know. You say about the talent bringing in the team, but like it's not really showing through. I mean, there's some serious talent gaps on that team. Talent-wise, I mean, there's some names on that team, but they don't play like they just don't play like their caliber, or at least their reputation would suggest they should.
Jason, do you think, because you're going up against America, this is perfect time to beat them?
I mean, there's certainly a beatable team at this moment, but I mean, they're desperate too, just like Cruz Azul's desperate for a win.
Now
so that makes it a little trickier.
Now you've been watching Cruz Azul all season, I'm sure. I mean, are they? Is it hopeless or are they close? I mean, can you tell that things are starting to work now that maybe weren't working a few weeks ago?
I mean, they should have a lot more points than they have right now. I mean, I think they've played better than the results. So in that way, there's a little bit of hope that they could improve. I mean, I think the hopes that they do anything substantial this season are gone now at this point, with just the lack of results. But
dude, there's 10 weeks left, and nine points will get them into contention. So let's not.
3 games.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm just going through this stretch of games where they just needed to get the points. I mean, they've had this run the last few weeks of some of their easier fixtures. I mean, it's just going to get harder. Where sure they could grab 9 points, but for me, the way they play, it doesn't seem feasible that they could, because they could win a few games, but some of those other teams are going to win games. They got to jump a lot of teams. It doesn't. I think this season is lost. I think they could play better. They could win this weekend, and that'll certainly give some hope. But I don't see them going on a real run where they just get win after win at this point.
That they could just put it all together against America and just change the season.
Yeah, that would be a very positive way of looking at that, and I'm not going to join you there. I don't think Cruz Azul is going to lose on Saturday. I'll say that. I think most likely situation is a draw, but I think Cruz Azul has a pretty good chance of coming in here and winning this one. But I don't think that's going to turn around their season. I think that'll boost morale. I think that'll give some support to the manager, which is good. But I don't think this team is going anywhere this season.
Well, they play Querétaro tomorrow for Copa MX.
I ignore the Copa MX most of the time. That sounds about right. Querétaro.
I know, but I mean, a win could help a bit there with.
Yeah, I think anything like that helps at this point. So yeah, that's probably true. A decent result in the Copa MX.
Yeah, but I mean, they're only like 5 points out of a play. I mean, it's not like totally desperate. I mean, this is Liga MX, man. It can change. It can change so fast.
They remind me a bit of what Chivas was when Almeida's second season. His first 9 games were nothing to write home about. They couldn't win. They had a bunch of ties. And then they played Querétaro.
That team had
Querétaro was.
I mean, that team had players. Like it had like a. I mean, there was a clear plan in place. Although they weren't getting results, and very similar to what Cruz Azul is doing, they just simply weren't scoring, although creating opportunities.
So it's Cruz Azul's strategy right now. Just throw money at it. We'll just figure out. Just here's some guys.
That's always been I mean, I have no reason to think the strategy has changed. I mean, that's been the strategy all along. I mean,
Well, but they used to do that, but get players that seem to work and gel. So I mean, they're where's the disconnect? Are they just picking players willy nilly, or do they honestly believe that the guys are bringing in are gonna?
I mean,
what they have?
I don't have the answer to that. I mean, I wish I could hop into some minds and hop into some rooms and observe how these decisions are being made. They're coming to a bad decision. Whether
Jason, are you telling us that you're not on the weekly conference call with?
I mean, surprisingly, they keep leaving me off. I'm not sure how that's working out, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like if they're just bad decisions or it's just. I don't know how they're coming to these things, whether it's a more nefarious situation or not. Like it's just there's continually just players brought in. Like I said earlier, you bring in these players where they're almost reformation projects, and these players coming in like maybe they'll take off here, and yeah, they never do. So I don't know.
So they're taking chances on guys that at one point showed something in their career and they're hoping they get it back instead of taking a chance on a guy that like they used to do earlier where they would get the younger player that might turn into something like who was the guy that started for, was it Ceballos? Christian Ceballos? I mean, he was a very young player and he ended up playing for Paraguay in the World Cup. So players of that nature, it seems like they do better on the other end of it. So maybe that's the, if you start seeing Cruz Azul do that a little more, then maybe you'll have hope. Hope after all.
Yeah, I mean, I would love like just a little more player acquisition of just younger players, like on the rise kind of players. I mean, I think most people feel that way, so it's not unique. But like, I mean, it's just too often these players that are just at the end of it, and like, just I mean, look at I was just talking today to a Toronto FC guy about Victor Vasquez, and they just signed him, and like think about that situation, like just like, and there was so much excitement around that signing, and what's his name from? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now, but the player they picked up from the striker they picked up from Tigres a few seasons back. Joffrey, we're on.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the minute that signing is made, there's so much excitement. Like, oh, he's going to come. Like, I mean, but so much of that goes against like, did you really watch him play with Tigres? And like, they cast him off for a reason. And like, like Victor Vasquez, has the Barcelona pedigree, but I mean, he's with Club Brugge, and I mean, after a while, they just kind of let him go because there's something not right. So he goes to I mean, there's so much excitement because Cruz Azul is bringing this European player. He has this Barcelona pedigree, but like I mean, he's in his 30s, and it's clear that he's not going to be able to play very well. I mean, like it's just another aging midfield cog that's just going to slow down and not contribute defensively in any way. I mean, these are the kinds of signings that Cruz Azul makes at this point. So I mean, every once in a while you have a Canelo Benitez who I think he's played pretty well for Cruz Azul. But I mean, he's just it's pretty infrequent, and there's just less and less. I don't know, just energy in that squad. You still have Chaco Jimenez coming out there, and Cruz Azul depending on Chaco Jimenez for a spark. And
isn't Chaco in his mid-40s?
He's looking it right now. He looks beat down. He just looks like a beat down old man at this point. So it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs.
I mean, he should be he's almost like a ceremonial player at this point. And the fact that they still have to rely on him to generate stuff. I mean, he's
surprisingly young. Like he's much younger than he looks, and for how long he's been with the club and stuff. But
he was with Pachuca and when they were making their little mini dynasty before that. So
that's right. He's been around.
Yeah, he's put some tread on those tires. I have to say the one thing about Chaco that I thought was very disappointing for him was I really thought that Piojo should have put him on that Copa America team. I think he should have put a handful of guys that I know they put Wolves on some other guys, but I mean, he should have put some guys that have, became not that outside and played their, most of their entire career in Mexico on that team. I think that Mexico would have had a better chance of it. And Chaco, I think he should have absolutely gone to the Copa America in Chile. That was a big mistake on Piojo's part.
Well, he got that 2013 taint on him. With the national
but
team.
you know what? The one of the to me, one of the coolest moments of that entire hex was I think was it the Honduras game where he came on and the crowd was calling his name like they were and that doesn't happen at the Azteca very often. So that was pretty cool. Of course, it didn't work. But that's all right. He gave it. He gave it his all.
Hey, Jason, I don't think your season's lost yet.
I don't think so either.
Okay, that's cool. I really disagree, but I'm glad.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what has to happen. Like looking
real quick,
looking at my crystal ball.
I agree with Jason. I think the season's over. But go on.
No, okay. They play Copa MX, so they play Querétaro tomorrow. So if they get a win there, because they're playing at home, and then they play America, which is at Azteca. But I think America's right for the picking. That's 2 wins, and then you host Chiapas. So you're not really traveling. You're gonna have a well-rested team, and Chiapas has only looked good against good teams. They beaten like some stronger teams, and then with other teams they just crash. So I think that's you win 3 games in a row, man. That catapult you up there.
3 games in a row is
possible, but I mean, I just watched them lose at home to Atlas.
I know that was
draw to Santos.
That is when understand that losing to Atlas is when you've hit bottom.
So I mean that sounds great, like 3 wins in a row, but I'm not confident they will win any of those games.
I'm gonna pick Cruz Azul beating America.
Wow. I mean, it would be a huge boost for them if they win this game, and Joel is right. 3 wins is like putting on the ring of regeneration from Dungeons and Dragons, and it makes your
you get more hit points right there.
Exactly. It changes your season. It changes your season completely.
And
that happened with Pumas.
That
happened to Pumas a year ago when they made the final. Like they started off kind of slow, and then they had 3 wins in a row, and they went from 11th place to 3rd place. I mean, just that quickly, and it totally changed their season, and they ended up top of the table at the end, and then lost in the Liguilla. But by the way, I feel bad that Sunday I turned off I was like, well, this game's over after the 3-0 when Paul Arriola put but I'm so ashamed that I did that. I am so ashamed of myself.
Yeah, I was gonna call you out.
Yeah, you should call me out. It's it is just so yeah, it was I did what Marky Mark did at the Super Bowl. I walked out on my team. So yeah, it was rough, but I did come back though when I saw it was 3-2. I did come back and I watched them. I watched them tied up. So and then we came really close. Actually, Pumas came really close to getting the 4th one on an autogol from Topo, which would have been perfect. But it ended up tying 3. So kudos to Pumas, and shame. It's just.
Me estoy avergonzado.
Just awful. Awful. Shame on me. So is it okay, Cheekies, that I called myself out?
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
I was going to do it earlier, but I couldn't get a word in.
It's almost as no. What's worse, Cheekies, walking out on my team like that, or cambiando gatos like you do?
I would say walking out.
So Jason, if you don't know, Albert is I think it was last Christmas, declared that he was done with Pumas, and he was going to become a Tigres fan. So we start calling him the Cambiagatos because he went from one cat to another. And now he's also recently become a Jaguares fan, so now he's our crazy cat lady. Because all he likes are cat teams.
Well, I sided with Jaguares because America dissed Tortas. America dissed him, and so I was like, man, America sucks.
So you're giving Jaguares pity support?
Yeah, exactly.
They'll take your pity support.
You know, they're the team that I had pegged to to go down. But I don't. Joel, who's the team that you think is going to be Monarcas?
Yes, at this point, yeah, I have it in Morelia, man. It seems like Atlas just gave up on them.
So is that how?
I mean TV Azteca. TV Azteca owns Morelia and they bought Atlas.
All right.
So it seems after they took over Atlas, they just, forgot about Morelia.
Well, so that's why I thought there'd be a prime candidate for them to be sold to the Grupo, the Spanish group that owns Atletico Madrid, or whoever owns Atletico Madrid, to
Chiapas
move the team
actually.
to San Luis.
But I had Chiapas was my those are my candidates, but they've been surprising people and they've managed some good results.
Yeah.
So
Chiapas
Morelia
has been either winning people a whole lot of money or losing people money because it's definitely.
Yeah, so right now it's Morelia. They're last place, followed by Veracruz, Chiapas, Puebla, and then number 14 is Cruz Azul.
So what happened to Veracruz is because I saw a little bit of it. I don't want to speak to because I don't want to say anything that's. But what specifically happened? Yeah, was there a bronca on there? And they're saying that somehow Gignac caused it by celebrating because people just can't handle that.
Gignac scored a goal.
Okay.
And it was earlier on in the game, and he went to celebrate, and I was like, "Where's he going?" There's all just Veracruz fans over there, but apparently his wife was in that area or section. But it looked awkward.
And some friends, right?
Yeah. And then that was that, and then the game continued, and apparently.
Well, wait a second. So he goes and celebrates. So he's celebrating. He's not like flipping off the Veracruz fans that he scored or anything like that. So he's not taunting them in any way. Or was it a taunting style celebration? Did he taunt Veracruz fans?
I don't think it was taunting, but just to go in their face and celebrate, that's sort of like, get out of here. But
that's not worth rioting over, or is it?
Nothing's worth rioting over.
Exactly.
That's worth getting PO'd over.
Was that there was a clip that went viral of a fan doing some coke lines? Was that at Veracruz too?
Yes.
That was.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered. I think those guys just needed any excuse to.
Remember Disco Dale?
No.
Joel, you remember Disco Dale from back in the day on Big Soccer? He was an Englishman that lived. That lived in Mexico City. He was a big Pumas fan.
Oh man, that's way back.
Yeah, I want to say that he always said that the Veracruz games were the scariest for him.
I remember John, by the way.
Do you remember? I'm sorry. I
Yes.
thought you had left, Dan. Sorry about that.
No, I'm still around. I'm juggling the kids and all, but yeah.
You remember Disco Dale?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
you are going way back.
Yeah, but didn't he say that Veracruz was like the scariest trip for them to go on? I want to say that was the case, but I mean I could be wrong. Listen to me. I say that they're terrible, but I could be wrong.
I remembered his name. That's about as good as I can do.
Well, you guys probably didn't haunt the Pumas pages like I did. I'm sure that's not where you spent the majority of your time.
But yeah, after the game, apparently they were ganging up, beating up on some Tigres guys. I think they had a picture of a guy with an ice pick.
Right.
And then Tuca and Gignac and whatever that dude's name was, were out there yelling at them, telling them to calm down, and some good audio of Tuca just yelling like crazy, kicking a policeman, trying to get him to do something about it.
Well, the policeman was just standing there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were like he couldn't do anything though, because they're like in the second level.
They're the second level, these dudes.
Okay, so and then they were able to quell the fight, and then I mean, were people taken to the hospital? I mean, how many people were injured, or was it?
Also, Cheekies, if you're that policeman, you're not going up there, dude. You're just getting paid to hold the shield to protect the players in corner kicks from, agua fresca.
You don't go up there. I think he was.
You're not up there to fight guys with ice picks, dude.
Well, he was expecting someone to get on the walkie-talkie or whatever and get someone over there because there was no security.
Yes, I think they didn't even work. He was saying they didn't work.
They're just for show.
And this guy Cootie
is just for show.
This guy Cootie is saying that there's like I forget what number he used, like 500 or something security at each game, and
he had like that Elmo phone. It just has a pre-recording.
I tell you what, like I went to a game in Veracruz once, and never have I been a place where they have the beers are as cheap as they are. I've never seen mixed drinks, like you just go up and like order all these like cocktails and stuff like inside a stadium, like I saw in Veracruz. Like that was a unique thing for me, just like all over the place. So I might explain a little bit about the crowd there as well.
So the fans get a little happy, and in Veracruz more so than they would at other places.
Well, I don't know. I'm just presenting facts to you. I'm not going to leap to any conclusions, but.
Possibly. I think I have heard that also about Veracruz. That the crowd does get a little, that seems.
And that, I mean, like also like that upper tier, like it really does like hang over and like get like really close to the field. That huge upper tier in Veracruz is a very unique stadium that way, I think, and definitely like they've had a lot of problems with like all kinds of like crazy crap being thrown on the field and stuff there. I mean, that doesn't compare to this past weekend, but I've had some issues with that tier up top in that stadium.
And if I'm not mistaken, Joel, isn't Veracruz kind of like Club America's proxy team? I mean, don't they have at least they used to, I don't know if they do anymore, have a very close relationship, or is that no longer the case?
I don't know. I don't think it's been the case.
Because when Chivas
Santos been their best buddy.
When Chivas players don't do well, they send them to Colombia. When America players don't do, when they're having problems, they send them to Veracruz.
I mean, but what was the last one though?
Well, I mean, as I said, it's been a while. But
well, you know what they do have? They do have a lot of America players in that squad, but I think that's more to do with Reynoso.
Jason, as a Cruz Azul fan, do you like the fact that Cruz Azul went to a lighter blue in their jersey, or do you want them to go back to the more dark blue look that they've classically had?
I think I like the darker blue, but I'm not like necessarily all that opposed to the lighter blue either. I think I'd pick the darker blue, but lighter blue is fine. The current shirts in general, I don't really care for, and be happy if the talk of them ditching off Under Armours actually comes to fruition, and they I'd love for them to line up with a Nike or an Adidas or something like that. Would be fantastic. Just make some decent looking shirts.
You know what, Jason? If I'm Directiva, I don't let them wear the blue, man. Like, you guys don't deserve to wear the azul. Make them go with a whiter, the third option uniform.
That's tough, man.
Until they start winning.
Ouch. Those are damn, Joel. That is Joel. Why do you have such high expectations for Cruz Azul? Because you and I have just been pumping sunshine up.
They've always been that I always seen them as like a neutral team, like the team that a lot of times when your team gets eliminated, you still want to watch like the liguilla, that you'll watch their games. They always seem, because they came across as like the blue collar team, and there's just neutral team. So I think that's part of the reason Jason was saying earlier about with the Clásicos seem more heated between America and Pumas, you know. So I think that's much animosity toward Cruz Azul. But I also think just what's happening to them, I think that's just kind of what happens to the Mexican national team with the Quinto Partido, you know. It's kind of the same thing as the Cruz Azulio. The whole Quinto Partido, it's, you know, it's almost like holding a mirror. Dude.
I just like to want to see Cruz Azul do well, just because that's kind of. I think the league is better when Cruz Azul is better. So hopefully they'll shake it off soon. They'll shake it off soon, Jason.
It worked for me. Sounds good.
Do you get a chance to go back to games at all, or?
It's been a while. Although it's just I just went down to see them play in Tijuana. So that was
Did they win?
They did not. No, they lost.
Was there a lot of Cruz Azul fans in the stands?
There were. Yeah, it was a huge, I would say, pretty substantial Cruz Azul crowd there in Tijuana. It was an entertaining game, but yeah, they lost.
How's that feel? Because it seems like they need to make the change and put the natural stuff down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty disgusting field. I guess they have excuses there about like the soil or whatever. It doesn't really work out, but I don't know if they're how accurate or true that is. But yeah, it's not. It looks like absolute garbage, and I mean, it's funny because it's so much improved than what they had a few years ago. Basically, like that old like Veterans Stadium disgusting rug they had, and it's like an updated version. I actually got to go down on the field after the match, and it's not very nice. It's not a very nice field. Cool stadium, little stadium. It's such a unique place, that stadium. So different than the rest of Mexico. It feels like an MLS stadium in a lot of ways, but that field is it's not so good.
And you make it over to Philadelphia Union games. That is a haul for you to get down to Chester, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a trek. I've been to a couple times, but I don't go regularly. It's too far. A lot of traffic between me and there.
I mean, like the only thing you have between you and that is just Philadelphia, right? So it's no big deal.
A little bit in the way.
I mean, you might as well like drive to New Jersey and take the turnpike down.
Yeah, I could pretty much hit Red Bulls about probably about the same time.
Right.
Not going to go there either, but yeah.
Well, Joel, your Chivas play. They have to go to the jungle this weekend. Do you think that they're going to keep it up? By the way, Joel, if you haven't seen Chofisi's goal that he scored tonight against Atlante, you need to take a look at that. It was really nice.
I was watching the highlights, but then I missed all the goals.
Yeah, we'll watch him. He's got some talent. I think as far as Mexican players, young Mexican player, he has far and away the most upside of any Mexican player. That's
no. I don't know. It could be a tricky game with Jaguares. They pulled up some upsets, but I don't think it matters. I'm not too concerned with the regular season.
Now let me ask you this, Joel. You said that Jaguares plays up to the good teams and down to the bad teams. So is Jaguares going to play up or down?
Man, choose second place, man. Obviously, they should be playing up.
Okay.
Because they started the season beating America, which they're not a good team, but for Jaguares it is. It's a huge result. And then they beat Toluca away, and they followed that up with a win over Tigres.
And they beat America too. So they got some big ones for sure.
Yeah, except their last result was pretty bad. They lost to Puebla, so it's kind of weird. With so who knows? They're playing at home, and but Chivas beats them. They'll be giving Cruz Azul a helping hand because then Cruz Azul hosts them. I mean, they could be going to Cruz Azul with 2 defeats. So that's how they say pan comido right there.
That's right.
See-
Sergio Bueno could be
TJ's
playing
on-
for his job.
Oh boy.
It'll be like the with what's happening now to U.S. coaches when they lose to Mexico. You lose to you lose to Mexico, you get fired. You lose to Cruz Azul, you get fired. It's the poison pill.
And Chivas does have right now they're an 8-match unbeaten streak, so they're doing pretty good. The only thing is sometimes we've seen some of these teams that they're on fire early on, and then by the liguilla they
But they've
fizzle
been
out.
pretty steady though. I mean, it's not like they're like they're playing well. They could be playing better. They're generating a ton of chances, but they don't have the guy to put them away.
Pulido has 1 goal in 7 games. That's pretty disappointing. He doesn't look that bad because he scores in the amistosos.
You know, we're disappointed for all of us because you did say that if Pulido had won the goal, the high score for the season, that you would cut your hair in the Pulido style. So I feel like we're all losing with Pulido not scoring.
It doesn't grow like that anymore, John. I could try it though.
Just put some gel in that stuff. Man.
Gel?
Yeah.
That
Moco de
moco. Yeah, there you go. No, yeah, Chivas is. I think that's what they need though. Just for their scoring to be more. I don't know how you say it in English. Más contundente.
Clinical.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, they need to be more clinical, and then they'll be a pretty dangerous team, but they're just lacking that.
Is Pulido the answer, Joel?
Nah, I think the answer is your boy. Is your boy Chofis, man. I think the answer for a lot of the Chivas problems has always been in their cantera. I just think they weren't as as trusting of that group.
So they've had on the ruby slippers this whole time. All they had to do was click their heels. It was right there in front of them.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Be patient, but some of these guys, yeah.
I agree with you. Well, I think Pulido's been a massive disappointment. I see the guy miss clear chances just nearly every game, like really good chances that you would expect a quality striker to finish. He somehow misses.
Yeah, 1 goal in 7 games. That's not
for $20 million.
20 million.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And I was looking at they had a list of they compiled a list of the most expensive squads, and Chivas is in 3rd place. It's close to 40, and that's at the transfer market prices. So that's with the players not being valued at what Chivas paid for them. So like Pulido is valued at like 4 or 5 million. So Chivas squad is at a good 60 million, give or take.
Yeah, well, the Chivas have to overpay for everything. It's just they have to pay. They pay double premium.
It's true, but I think if you know how to negotiate, I feel that
they didn't seem to have that problem in the past.
But I mean, they had people that, before they've had like some of the people like Frankie and Nestor that could negotiate with the teams and do the right deals. They just have Higuera right now, and if it wasn't for Grupo Pachuca, man, I don't know where Chivas would be.
Well, it's kind of like that relationship that Atlas had with Tigres a few years ago. Atlas was Tigres' cantera. All the players that came out of Atlas went straight up to Tigres. Torres Nilo and Hugo Ayala, and there were a handful of others. So maybe that's what's happening right now. Pachuca is the Chivas minor league team. It's their new Tapatío, Pachuca.
Yeah, but you know what? They also have some Chivas players on their squad.
They're going back and forth. Well,
Yeah.
it only adds up to what we've been talking about for the past year and a half. Is that ultimately it's going to be Carlos Slim's team, Chivas.
I don't know anymore, John. I'm not.
Oh, Joel, is it are things? What has changed?
I haven't heard anything. It's it went silent. I'm like the dude trying to listen in into signals, radio waves from outer space.
Yeah. So your tinfoil hat is not picking up anything, huh?
You've been there 20 years. You haven't picked up anything. At one point, you're like, hey, "There's nothing up there, out there. I'm just calling it in."
Wow. I'm frankly,
No,
I'm
you know what? That possibility is there. Because I do think Chivas is at a point where they could go broke again. Just the massive amount of money they've been spending and how much they've been losing on sponsorship and other deals like that. So that there's that possibility, but as a fan, I don't want to hope that the team goes broke. Hoping for something bad, so that something good could happen later.
So outside of the Clásico and Chivas, Dan, your Santos home to Necaxa. I think that your boys need a nice 3-point game there, Dan.
Yeah, we're definitely due for some 3 points. Otherwise, we're gonna get stuck in that whole just dragging on and just floating by catching points. But yeah, we definitely need a win.
And did you watch your the U20s with your Santos boys? Or are they playing well?
They're dominating, really. They're out of the starting 11. 3 of them are canteranos from Santos, and then the 4th player, Kevin Lara, who's a midfielder, he's also being subbed in. So all 4 of them are seeing lots of playing time. All the goals are coming from the 2 forwards. So it's but I think the at least up to this point, the most dynamic player that's been really impressive has been was it Antuna? I believe his name is.
Oh, number 7, the tuna, the big
yeah,
tuna.
he's I guess a right winger, right midfielder. He's been phenomenal. Actually, he's been really impressive. He's showing glimpses of a Tecatito type of skill and just terrorizing the defenses, really creating chances for just creating a ton of chances for.
And he's a Santos guy too.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wow. No, he was. I didn't get to watch too much of the game against Canada yesterday, but of what I did watch, it seemed like if they won on a counterattack, they were going to score because they did it 3 or 4 times and they got. And the last one was that guy number 7 Altuna, who he put a move on. He wasn't as fast as the defender, but the move was so good that he had such a great head start that he was able to fight him off, and then he made the pass for an easy tap in goal. But yeah, it was really impressive. So that's good to hear. Definitely good to hear as a Santos fan. Maybe these guys will slowly get, and Chepo is a guy that has historically done that anyway. So
he's commented on it so far as like I think he may have taken a good look at what was what was coming up and said, like, maybe this is not maybe this is a decent spot for me to latch onto and help build it up, because there's a ton of talent coming through, a ton. I'm actually quite shocked because that's the guys that are playing the U20 aren't even included in the team that's part of the first team that's playing with the first team right now.
Wow, that is pretty. Because those guys have been very impressive. This is the first 2 games, and then they play Honduras, I think, on Thursday. We'll see how they.
The rumors are that some scouts are there, so we shouldn't be too surprised if a couple of guys get plucked from the team before the U20 starts.
let's
some of
hope
these
that
teams
it's
might be trying to find a bargain.
Let's hope that it's a team that makes sense. And somebody that's going to give the kid what he needs as far as the proper amount of playing time, etc. So just sign for the big money boy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just but yeah, the future looks bright. Absolutely.
Well, Santos again, another one of those teams that at least for the past 20 years have been nothing but consistent. Yeah, they might have had a couple of bad seasons, but they've are always in the playoff hunt. Another team that's done really well with acquisitions over the years, and and who they brought in and who they were able to get through the system.
The thing is though, the interesting though is that they seem to be totally reinventing themselves, and not just them though, but like Pachuca, Chivas has always been there, but it seems like and also Pumas. It just seems like these teams are really making an effort, and it's really starting to show, really starting to pay dividends, and I think it's encouraging, because I know we're usually speaking doom and gloom here on the podcast as far as the prospects.
Now, Dan, our tone is normally positive. Traditionally, we're on the happy side. It's not all doom and gloom on here.
It's a little half empty.
We don't have any Atlas fans. I know that we have a Cruz Azul fan on tonight, but it's not all.
It got a little
not
darker.
Always that bad.
A little darker today.
Yeah.
Jason, I am curious though, and you may have covered this before, so I apologize if it's already been asked. But when did you start following the team? Was it around like where Marcarian, that type, around that time?
Not till 2011. 2011 when I moved to Mexico City, and started going to the games. That's when I really latched on. So, anything before that was pre my time. So there's a lot that's is still fairly recently. So
you did experience some of their almost success.
I did. Yeah. I was there
because they were perennial contenders. And like it was funny that the whole term Cruz Azulear, I think originally meant almost getting there, but now it's turning into something different, I think. But
no, because that means they choked.
They choked, yeah. No, I'm just saying lately though, like the term has been used somewhat differently, I guess. At least I've seen it used differently.
People just find ways to use it wherever they can.
You know what? Because Cruz Azul they've lost a lot of finals, and it was usually like the team had it and they messed up. But you know what? You know how you reach a final and the team they'll print championship T-shirts, so in case they win, they put them on and it says Campeones.
Right.
So, but then if you don't lose, they usually like send the shirts to like some third world country.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some kid in the Congo that he grew up thinking Cruz Azul is a dynasty. Every other year he gets
That's very true. That's very true.
Every other year he gets a camisa that says Cruz Azul Campeón, man.
It's very mean, Joel. It's very mean.
I guess you missed the Chelito Delgado era. He left in 2008.
Yeah.
Now, Marcarian was a great coach. He only coached them for a year, but he I remember when he coached the Peruvians in the Copa America. Man, he was terrific. I was hoping he would come back. Great personality.
Who was around the time? It was Marcarian and someone else that had pretty good success also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then Memo Vasquez, he coached them to their near championship. And they've had some other ones, I guess, like other close ball. They've close calls in finals in both the league and in the Conca Champions. But they did. But Cruz Azul did win a Conca Champions a few years ago. They gave Real Madrid, at least they played with them. At least they didn't like play scared like America did.
Well, they got third. They got third place, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Compared to the majority of Liga MX, Cruz Azul is not as bad as they make him out to seem. There's, Atlas doesn't even play a final.
No, it's very different teams. I mean, yeah, like Cruz Azul, and then that I think there's just the expectation. There's an expectation of them competing, and being up there and being able to, be in a position to fail miserably in those finals. So, yeah, like I said earlier, it's just recently it's not quite there. But I mean, I think there's a reasonable expectation that they return, maybe not to any run of dominance or anything like that, but just being able to consider themselves a contender again.
It'll happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen. They're having a rough patch.
Yes, hopefully they find a way past this mess.
If anything, Jason, it gives you a whole lot more credibility as far as being a fan of them.
But the term
no fair weather fans.
Yeah, no, I mean it's easy to latch on to a team when all is well, But
that's right. Well, I was at both legs of that 2013 final, so if I'm still alive to talk about that and still support the team, so I'm pretty much stuck with them from here on out at this point.
The only good thing that came from that final is that people say that was that Moises Munoz scored a goal, which sounds a whole lot better than that poor guy who was Alejandro Castro. It was an own goal. I mean, it was an own goal. Yeah. But if people want to call that a Moises Munoz goal, I'm sure he's like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that was Alejandro Castro having no business trying to get us get on that ball. He was going right to Corona, and yeah, Castro just. Oh man. Anyway, what else can we talk about?
It's yeah, we'll leave it at that. Now Pumas goes to Querétaro Chiquis, but they always.
I was gonna say, John, like eventually, I'd like to talk some of the qualifying if we get a little bit of a chance.
What kind of qualifying?
We touched on it with Santos. U20s.
Oh, the U20s.
Yeah.
You wanna dig into that some more? You're not gonna give me my chance to talk a little Pumas first.
No, go for it. I just want to make sure we don't forget that.
All right.
Go on.
So they're playing Querétaro, and it is a massive trap game because that is a stadium where Pumas just doesn't play well. So I'm hoping that we don't start going into panic mode if things don't work out for Pumas if they don't win in Querétaro. But yes, let's talk U20s. Dan, what's on your mind?
No, just commenting on that Mexico. I think they look pretty strong overall. At least a lot significantly stronger than their competition. The U.S. is, I think they're looking like they might squeak in. They got a big win today against Haiti. Honduras looks pretty decent. It's just been I don't know. I'm always interested in these World Cups, and especially the U.S. and Mexico. These are my team, and they're rivals, our rivals. So obviously interested in what they're up to, and gotta say I've been still really unimpressed with the U.S. team. The goals that they got. I mean, Haiti basically imploded. The goalkeeper just lost it, really. But they got three critical points to keep their hopes alive, and they're going to be, I forget who they're playing, but they're pretty much assured another 3 points in their next game. So
yeah, they're playing St. Kitts and Nevis. Now how does this? What's the structure? Is it 2 groups of 8? I'm sorry, 2 groups of 4, or is it 3 groups?
3 groups of 4, and I think the top 4 qualify. I don't know how that works.
Top 2.
To be honest with you.
Top 2 qualify.
Top 2 of each group, and then out of those 6.
And then they go to.
So there's still another round after this.
Well, I mean, if it's 6, and they got to do something wonky. So either they have to add 2 more teams, or do
I'm not totally
2 groups
sure
of 3.
There's a repechaje. There's like a group E with the first place from group B against the second. It's like a secondary group stage or something. I don't know.
But yeah, Mexico, I think, clearly looks better than the rest.
And
Panama
is it because of your
decent.
Santos boys? I mean, are they a cut above the rest just on the team itself?
No, I think the team in general just looks whole lot better. I'm not gonna hear and grandstand for Santos just for selfish reasons. But no. I mean, they are playing their part, but the team as a whole,
You can toot your horn a little bit, Dan. It's okay.
No.
You can give it a little toot. You can give it a little
I
toot,
mean,
Dan. Just a
the
little
stats, The stats speak for themselves, John. I don't need to inflate anything else. I mean, they're scoring all the goals. They're getting all the assists. I mean, it's they're finishing the plays, but clearly it's a team effort, and it's not like the team. It's not like
I swear, if I close my eyes, Dan, I feel like I'm listening to a senator from Arizona.
But no, but seriously, I mean, Mexico has been. Maybe this is going too far, but I think Mexico, at least on a youth level, you have to consider Mexico a world power. They're one of the teams that I think everyone's going to be a little bit weary of facing because they've won consistently recently in recent history, where you know that they're going to be putting out a good team. I think they're one of the. They're now. I think they've played themselves into the position of being considered perennial favorites now, along with those other big teams. But and it's just the youth level. But I think it's a good start for Mexico, and I do think it's a somewhat of a positive sign.
Now, because of the fact that they have, as you said, they've become, somewhat of a marked team at this level. They've done well at World Cups, etc. At both the U17 and the U20. Then how do you explain a rule like the 10-8 rule? Is that something that's actually going to help these youngsters, or is it going to hurt them? Because I kind of understand both sides of the argument.
I don't know if it'll help. I think it's going to be a really stringent filter, I guess. Meaning, like, I think these teams are only going to play them if one, either they're invested in like, if it's part of their philosophy to go ahead and play some of their youth players, or it's just going to be the individual player demanding playing time. But definitely they're not going to be catching any. I think by and large they're not going to be catching any breaks, so they're just going to have to just. I don't think it's going to be helpful in general now, because I think ultimately what it comes down to is these teams are going to be looking to fill their rosters with the best quality for the least price, and I think the least price means foreigners. I think the Mexican's always going to be a more expensive purchase.
So do you think that would then give opportunities for Mexican players that may not get the opportunities in Mexico to come up and play, and all those shiny new teams in MLS is going to have?
You hope. If these guys aren't going to be getting their playing time, I would hope anywhere, though. Really, it's not just MLS. I mean, if some of these French players aren't going to be getting playing time in Liga MX, I don't necessarily think they have to go to MLS. Although I do think it's going to be a good option. But I think South America is still a pretty decent option. I think the quality of play in some of those leagues is going to be better. So I would hope that a lot of those players find their way over there more. I'm still not. I'm not a big MLS fan, so I don't think that'd be the best destination for some of our up and coming talent.
They're only going to find a spot at a club or league that gives young players a chance. And if Liga MX isn't going to do it, then I don't see South America doing it so much. And then MLS, I was listening to the Max and Herc podcast, and they're talking about MLS making strides in attracting South American players. And
they've already been attracting South American players. What I think they're gonna I think right now their target is to go for that mid-tier player but even still, I think they're going to be losing out because I don't think they're going to be throwing the amount of money that countries like China is throwing out at players, and without the quality of play that to offset some of that lack of money that's going to be invested in. I think MLS has serious issues going forward, because I do think I honestly don't think I don't think they're going to land as many players as they want. I think they're going to lose a lot of the players that they're going to be trying to get to other leagues.
Well, maybe Herc Gomez is just being a cheerleader because they mentioned one player who actually left China to go to MLS. I think he's an RG. And they're pretty hopeful. They're thinking that MLS is going to surpass Liga MX for all the top South American players.
Well, I think that's something they have to say. I think proving that they have a really long way to go.
Yeah, some of the players
they don't have the cash to pay for players like that. They can't compete until they can compete financially. It's just not going to happen. You know, Tigres can sign 10, 12 guys. An MLS team can sign maybe 2.
I mean, I think MLS, what they need to do more than anything is continually investing in their youth systems to start producing their own players.
Right. Go the FC Dallas model and what Nate was telling us last week on what San Diego was thinking of doing.
They seem to be doing some of that work. You know, when you look at the U.S. team, its current like national team, it seems largely dependent, or at least leaning on, a lot of dual nationals. Now, I don't have an issue with dual nationals, but it's not really indicative of growth in the sport from your country when other countries are developing those players. I think a true sign that you're taking those steps forward to becoming more prominent is developing the core players, developing them in your own youth systems, not depending on European clubs to nurture them and to build them up. That's where, I mean, it's great that they have those options for them, but I think those are more stopgaps. I don't think they're a way to move forward. Like, I know he wasn't a dual national, but in some ways he was kind of considered, was Neri Castillo. Everybody, you know, it was at a time where I think a lot of fans felt they all they needed was that striker, was that quality striker to just finish the play, and then you know, World Cup victories were in our future. But
he was the biggest tease in Mexico history. There's no question.
He really was. And he did show moments, but ultimately, you know, like it was kind of sad on some level, the fact that it's like, all right, man, like Uruguay developed this player, and this other country's been playing this entire time, but he happens to be Mexican, so let's just coax him into playing with us, and hopefully he'll take us to glory. And it didn't pan out.
He was like that really pretty girl that you made out with. They had no business making out with. At 1:30 in the morning, in late at night at a bar, and you spent the next 5 years trying to find her.
Yeah, and then when you do find her, she ended up with someone worse than you.
Right.
And she ended up not being as pretty as he thought she was.
Oh,
Exactly.
time wasn't kind to her.
But you think about it. I mean, would Neri Castillo, in his prime, find a spot in this current 11? I don't think so.
I do think so, man. He was that good.
In his prime, absolutely.
He would have pushed
in the starting 11.
Oribe out of it.
I can't see him starting over Oribe, Chicharito, or
Oribe's old. He would have pushed him out, dude.
You know, it's
Chicharito
funny.
went in the dry spell, huh?
It's funny, Joel, because that's exactly who Trophies reminds me of is
Neri.
Is Neri, in the sense that he just has great grip, but I think he's actually going to be better than Neri. He just has great ball control, and just a unbelievable vision. The kid's terrific. You should have very high hopes for him, Joel.
Well, he's not a kid. This guy he actually
Dude, he's
has
20.
like 10.
He's 22.
He has
He's
like
got
5
grandchildren, John.
He's collecting Social Security. No, he's 22. Joel, he's 22.
I'm gonna tell Dan how Neri ended up in Mexico, playing for the national team.
Well, if you ask
Here at
Hector Huerta, it was because the national team paid him.
No, but before that, something happened because he was capped at the under 15 level for Uruguay, and they were gonna take him to like he played in like the amistosos. They did like a tour, and then they were gonna have like the tournament. I think the under 17 tournament. So what happened was that Paco Casal wanted him to sign for one of his clubs so that he could be, in order to be part of the national team. And he had gotten scouted by Manchester United. So he turned down the Casal offer, and Casal is like, I don't know now, but back then, Paco Casal pretty much owned, he was a Televisa of the Uruguayan football. And so he goes to Man United for tryouts. I'm not sure what happened. He returns, and they had like a falling out. Casal wasn't too happy with that, and that's how he ends up going to Olympiacos. But at that point, he was getting older, and the dad knew that he was gonna have the doors closed for Uruguay. You had to get through Casal. So that's when the old man appeared in radio shows in Mexico saying, "Hey, my son was born in Mexico. He's available." Not as exciting as it sounds, but
He had it all built up, and it just
there you go.
You need to come up with a better ending for that one, Joel.
No, it was good prospect because I think at the time he was the youngest player to debut in Champions League. If you see some of his highlight reels of his goals, he was just a really explosive player.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately for Nettie, he had some off the field issues that he just couldn't shake, and there's, who can fault him for that? Seriously, I mean, it just. Life was not kind to him.
So is La Chofis. Hey, one thing about La Chofis though, on this goal, I think it's the one you're talking about, John, from today, where he takes it on the right, and then he, sort of pauses and then takes it quickly to the right and scores. That's a really common technique in play actually, and I don't really see it.
Stick with the stuff that works.
Yeah, I don't see it as like a huge messy type of play.
I'm not saying who said it was a messy type of play. I'm just saying it was a good play. He does stuff that other players don't do in Mexico.
Well, I think a lot of players
Mexican players.
I think a lot of players do that same move.
I'm not talking about just about that one particular move. I'm just saying just his style of play. No one plays the way he does. So that's something that should be nurtured because it's not.
You're gonna honestly say that you're not impressed with La Chofis, Beto?
I am to an extent, but I'm not. As much.
I'm not.
But
he's exciting to watch, but not impressed.
Wow.
Too old.
I'm surprised.
So because he's 22, you think that he's
a special
talent?
Pretty much. Too old, man. I'm like Pedal Bear right here. Too old.
That's too old.
You have to be like 18. At 22, man, the really good players, they're already carrying teams.
How old was Oribe when he started blowing it out?
No, Oribe is different, dude. I'm saying Oribe to like maybe 24, 25.
That's a good comment that Joel makes about too old, because Dan, you brought up the U20s and the 10-8 rule and all this talk about the youngsters. With the 10-8 rule, they're not going to get a chance to, like Joel is saying, in other leagues in Argentina these youngsters go to Europe. These youngsters play.
Yeah, but yes, you guys have to understand that the model is the business model is totally different than Argentina than it is here. Argentina, those youngsters play because they are putting them on display to be sold to bigger markets. That is the Argentine club's lifeblood. That is how they survive. Mexican clubs don't have to survive like that. Mexico is an importers league. Mexico brings in talent. They don't export it. It's a completely different business model.
And that's hurting the national team, and pretty much Mexico as the Mexican player. But they get praise for all these Europeans that go to Mexico. They get praise for the national team, but the Argentina model, like you're saying, is the way to do it. Because look at their depth.
That's exactly what Santos is doing. Because remember, Santos isn't owned by Modelo anymore. So it's owned by a family.
So maybe they could give those, per Joel saying, young players actually first.
Well, Pumas is doing it too now as well.
Yeah, because I mean, Pumas has no choice.
It has to be a club effort. It's got to come. If the league isn't gonna place certain mandates, like I was always a big fan of there was this rule they had
the 2011 rule.
Was that it?
Yeah, they had they had to have a minimum number of minutes from players that were under 21.
Yeah, like that, something like that. Like if they're going to abandon things like that, then ultimately it's going to just they're going to be dependent on the particular philosophies of certain teams that are prioritizing their youth teams.
Hey Dan.
And right now it only seems like there's about 4 teams that are really investing in that. I think maybe Querétaro, I think will probably start following suit. From what little I've read, they seem to be wanting to go that route as well. I think, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty optimistic about the way the teams are going to go about it, because the money's there and the talent's there. I think it's if they invest a little bit of time and money and energy into it, I think most teams are going to start finding plenty of talent to just bring up on their own. I honestly do think, though, that right now Mexican teams are, at least some of them, are figuring out that's a viable option. Because
I think the teams that are figuring that out are the ones that don't have the budgets to go out and spend on players.
Yeah, and smart for them. They're not trying to fool themselves. Like, we need a different plan, and you can't really argue with the results. I mean, the Chivas, Pumas, Pachuca, Santos clearly are producing.
But you know what,
good talent.
Chivas, though, right now I think 8 players, or the majority, are not from the cantera. So Chivas abandoned, the whole cantera. They have said they're going back to it, but at the moment, the majority are.
But a lot of those guys, though, that maybe not be getting love, though, aren't they being at least sold to other teams?
No, I'm just saying the main squad right now, it's not from the cantera. They sort of abandoned some other philosophy there for a while.
But Chivas is a team that doesn't necessarily, apparently, have to rely on have to use that model. I mean, they're thinking that they have the cash.
No, yeah,
obviously America has the cash. Atlas, the 2 Monterrey teams, in Cruz Azul. I mean, they are the big fish when it comes to spending money in the league. They're the ones that have.
Yeah, Tigres
have loose, but it's been traditionally so. Well, Atlas not so much, just recently, but the other ones absolutely. It's just, and Necaxa, when they were with Televisa, were the same way. They if they have money to spend, they're going to spend it. I think the other clubs are starting to realize that they're not going to have that kind of money to spend, and
they might. You know what? They might have the money now. 4 televisoras on free-to-view TV. That means better contracts. as opposed to
Yeah,
two
but
televisoras.
it's not going to be that much better. I mean, until they negotiate as a group, I mean, they're not going to get. Santos isn't going to get. They're not going to go from 4 to 10. They're going to go from like 4 to 5.
No, I don't. No, man, because the more teams you have, the more teams your station has, it's just the more ratings you're gonna get. Like Grupo, which is, man, what's the new station that just came out?
Grupo Imagen.
It said, yeah, Grupo Imagen already has 4 teams, and they just came out. 4 teams. That's pretty impressive. So then if the fourth one comes out, they're all gonna try to have as many teams as possible, to have more overall coverage of the league. So even the top teams are gonna command way more money, but even the lower teams are gonna start getting more money because now you have three more televisoras or 2 more to negotiate with. So I do see I do see some of that spending spree still going on for a bit longer. And although I think it's badly spent, a lot of cartucho quemado. We get a lot of players that aren't that high quality. Like we'll get one good one and then like 5 bad ones.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the promoters too. So, but anyway, well, gentlemen, I think that we should probably wrap it up. It's been a couple of hours, so.
No, this show's supposed to last 1 hour.
Yeah, well, an hour and a half is what I want to try and go to. But it was just it was too much fun. We're having the conversation was just frankly too good for us to stop.
That is true.
It was very enjoyable. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Ya se fue. He had
se fue?
baby issues.
Oh, I didn't even hear. He must have typed it.
He's got a prediction.
He did say 1-1. He should. Joel, we tried. Joel, we tried to.
Hey, Cartelucho Quemado, if that's his game right there.
We tried to point him to the light, but he was in a dark place. Poor Jason.
I know that feeling. I've been there too, John. For when it comes to campeonatos for Chivas, man.
Yeah. So is that like the fourth stage of grief? Is that where he was at this point? No, we really do appreciate that Jason joining us on the show. Hopefully we'll have him on again. His passion for Cruz Azul is definitely palpable. And we do appreciate his insights. So thank you, Jason, for joining us.
He makes me want to root for them.
How can you not see that? That's the because like I mentioned earlier in the podcast. When I was a kid, I hated Cruz Azul with a passion. I could not hate them more when I was a kid because they used to win everything. I'm dating myself, unfortunately, but they were just, and they would beat Pumas in the final every time. It was just, God, it was so hard to break through. And and if it wasn't them, it was Tigres. It was just, yeah. But now I've always liked the way that they played, and I like the fact that they were the first game on the of the weekend usually, and it was and it was good soccer. I mean, it was fun to watch, and that stadium was pretty cool when it's sunny and packed. That's a pretty cool. That is a pretty cool place to televise and watch a game. The Azul, it looks like a great experience too. We need to have a CantinaMX road trip. We need to pick a stadium and go see again, like any stadium, and go see a game.
Do a game like a show live.
We had one.
Which one?
Just me and Juan.
Oh, the Las Vegas game.
Yes.
Don't make me feel bad, Joel. I had to work.
And
you
guys weren't there, so we partied with the other guys.
I had
fun. Come on, but wait a minute. Well, did you even party? You were in the restroom the entire time.
Oh, that was during the game, dude. I'm saying before.
Oh.
That was part of why I was, man. we went. We got to the stadium and.
So you're saying that they're related?
¿Qué pasó?
Your time you had to spend in the busy during the game and what you were doing the night before.
Oh, yeah, too much food, man. I'll say just at the stadium, just getting all the food at the pregame and then eating food at the press box. It just
something didn't sit right, huh?
Yeah, they started breakdance fighting in there.
Well, we'll that's something we should plan. Plan it out to where we'll have plenty of time to. I mean, it could be. We could go to León. We could go and just pick some random game and go.
I'm okay with showing my face because I think that did come up today as far as us showing our face. I'm okay with showing my face.
On the podcast? But it's a podcast. It's not a video podcast. It's a podcast.
I know, but I think people are curious to see what our handsome faces look like.
But that's why we have the Twitter feed.
We don't want to break the internet if we show our faces. I mean, seriously, it would be.
Dan just wants to show us his kitchen.
You know what? I get so many compliments on my kitchen.
When we look at Rafa Marquez, and the people look at us and go, "Man, Rafa would be the ugliest out of that group." It's
You know what? I always get distracted by all the surroundings. Like when you're watching a video feed, and then you start seeing what the people, what's in the room.
I'm not gonna lie, I drink heavily during this show, and I don't want people to see that. So I'd rather have the camera off.
That is true, John. I'm getting pretty sloppy drunk at this point.
My advice to you: start drinking heavily.
We saw made that comment. I think he was trolling.
Was that what he was saying? Okay, I was like, I know I read it somewhere.
Saying what?
Hey, by the way, we should congratulate Mexican Soccer Show for getting an Andres Cantor cameo last night. That was
pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, they had his kid on. They had his kid on, Nico, who was doing the Facebook.
You got to listen to the last 20 minutes, right?
I did, and he was about to leave, and his dad comes into the room.
Just to pop in and say hello and let him know that dinner's ready.
Well, I think he was listening. He was listening to the show.
Oh yeah, he was listening.
Because Wisa said that dinner. Is he gonna come in or say dinner? And that's what he did.
I think that's clearly a highlight. I mean, you get to.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's the voice of soccer in the U.S. Andres Cantor. I mean, and obviously Nico had his first broadcast on Facebook Live. I listened to about 10 minutes of it, and it was entertaining. If there's options for me to do that, I'll probably do it some more. And it looks like there's going to be. So, I'd love for them to call a Pumas game. I'll listen to it in English. Sure.
I don't mean to hate, but they rustled me, John.
Oh, I know. Well, they said something incorrect.
How so?
And they were calling Chivas. They were calling the rebaño sagrado, the sacred herd. They were referring to it as flock of sheep. And it's like you can't confuse a goat for a sheep, man.
So they were calling them the sacred flock or the sacred herd?
Nah, flock of sheep, man. Oh yes, they were saying it was a flock of sheep.
A flock of sheep, like the words "flock of sheep" came out of his mouth.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh.
That's not totally inaccurate, though.
What? The Chivas are not. Oh.
I'm talking about the fans. I'm just talking about the fans. I mean, you guys are a special bunch, man. I know I've said it before, but you're the only rational one out of the bunch.
Well, why don't y'all be honest with me? Now that Chivas is starting to win a little bit, are the Tijuana jerseys coming off and the Chivas jerseys coming back on down in Southern California?
Yeah, no, Chivas fans, yeah, they pop up as soon as they start winning. You start seeing more and more jerseys. But they've been, I mean, the last 4 seasons they've been doing good. They just crash out at the Liguilla, but in the regular season they've been doing good.
Here's a little something for you. So I joined Facebook, I think it was in 2008 or whatever it was, and America didn't win a title until, was it 2013? I think when they beat Cruz Azul. I had no idea how many Americanistas were in my Facebook because they hadn't done anything. That it was like a yellow fever had taken over my timeline. They were coming out of the woodwork. All these Americanistas. Is that what's happening with Chivas in California?
Yeah,
are they coming out of the woodwork?
Yeah, in LA you see it whenever they win.
Yeah,
you see all the jerseys.
Well, LA is a Chivas town. I mean, the whole West Coast is Chivas territory in Mexico and in the U.S. It seems like you guys have a lot of Chivas fans.
Yeah, they're playing León. Samolero friendly.
Oh, are you going to
They've been
go?
announcing it. No, man. What?
But Joel, you get to have press box food. I mean, the allure of a delicious press box meal.
Nah, I'm telling you, I don't mean to be the negative, Captain Negativo. These games don't excite me no more, John. I'm like Salcido, dude. He got to the point where he was degenerate and he was bringing trannies to the party.
So you're saying, what exactly are you saying?
No, well, not that's I'm comparing. It's not the same.
Okay, we're not
regular games. Just they don't do it for me, man. I wouldn't miss any game, man. I used to go to Azteca del Norte and.
It's okay if you like if your tastes have evolved.
Yeah, no.
I'm okay with it. I'm very accepting. I'm extremely liberal, and if you feel you need to voice something, you go ahead.
No, for the team, like I was looking forward to Libertadores. That didn't happen. It's disappointing.
That is just absolutely criminal. But the reality is that if Mexico wants to play in the Libertadores, if they want to play in Copa America, then just get it over with.
Has that not been sorted out though already?
But just either don't play them at all or join CONMEBOL and then make it official. See, they want the best of both worlds, and frankly, it's
what I think we're going to see is I know we touched on it last week with some of the some of the new club competitions that they're popping up, like a new version of the Superliga. But I think ultimately what we're going to see is those types of tournaments, including South American teams.
No, well, you know what, Dan, they're going to renegotiate the TV contract for Libertadores 2018. So who knows, man? We could see the return of Mexi clubs.
Yeah, well, you do know, Joel, that South Americans got a taste of the what they can make here with the last Copa America. So.
Oh yeah, they want.
That's what
more.
I'm saying. Like, I think they want American money, and I think they know that the only way to get to that American money is through Mexico, and somehow incorporating MLS. I think there's going to be some kind of.
Well, let me put it this way: do you think MLS could sell out? Chicago, like if the Chicago Fire was playing, in the Conca Champions, say they were playing Monarcas or they were playing Saprissa.
No.
And then in a tournament, all of a sudden they're playing River Plate. You think that would sell out?
I think the River Plate would sell out.
Yeah. I think that is a tournament that I think that will absolutely happen. In fact, I know that they've already floated the idea of calling it getting rid of just combining the two. But frankly, I think it would be terrific. But I mean, that is a long flight. That is something you have to. It'd be like the Rugby World Cup. I mean, it should take the entire year to play that.
No, I'm with you as far as like the logistics go. If we want to make it into a legit competition, yeah, you're gonna have to plan it out really well. But I think that's what we're looking at.
I think you're right.
Sooner or later.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it will happen, and I think it's going to be great. and it'll still give it'll still give the Saprissas and the Motaguas and those they'll certainly still be a part of it. It'll just be it'll be what it should be, a true continental tournament.
And right now, I think I personally think generally speaking, the level of play in South America has dropped significantly. I think it makes for a very competitive tournament.
I think at a club level, I think that it would be a lot more on par. I mean, I think that. But just I think in the semifinals, it wouldn't shock me if 3 out of the 4 teams left would be South American at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think at least early on, I think you'll see similar to what we see in World Cups, where we see teams like, say, Honduras play like incredible football, but them somehow just choke when they're in the World Cup because just the pressure of the moment is just a little bit too great. I think there may be some of that early on with a lot of with some of the teams that aren't used to playing the South American teams, but
right.
But I think teams like Saprissa and even Árabe Unido, I think they have enough quality to compete for sure.
Oh, there's no question.
And I think they could pull out results. They may not go like eliminate and win anything, but I definitely think they're plenty good enough where I think they will be able to compete. Refereeing has a lot to do with it too, because it'll dictate how some of the play goes. Because I do think that some of the refereeing that goes on in CONCACAF is.
Joel, if you're watching TV, put it on UDN right now.
And where?
On UDN.
Oh.
What's going on?
Well, just he can see his Chivas highlights.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I do think that if they set it up properly and give the teams chances to play, I do think outside of Mexico, I think there's other teams that could pull off some results.
And some of the MLS teams could as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Árabe Unido plays FC Dallas
tomorrow.
Thursday. I'm rooting for FC Dallas, man. I mean, I like Coach Pareja. That's their MO is they have a homegrown philosophy, and it's really kind of worked out for them at least so far. So I have a lot of hopes for FC Dallas. I think that they should be the model.
Do you think other MLS teams can do this? Wait, I'm sorry. Do you think all MLS teams can do the same route, or do you think it's more dependent on the type of demographics that make up the city? So a place like Dallas is gonna have a naturally a lot bigger talent pool to choose from to build up their team, considering the demographics. Or do you think that maybe even without that strong Hispanic contingency, that most MLS teams could still build up teams without that?
Well, I mean, it's obviously something that when Nate was talking about San Diego last week, that it was certainly part of their strategy. There's a lot of soccer hotbeds in the in the country, but one thing that I think that is something that we should probably point out is the fact that the Dallas did go into an area that frankly has been untapped in this country, and they were able to get a lot of quality players from that. And I'm surprised that teams don't take advantage of that more so than what Dallas has done, because I think that every metropolitan area that's in MLS has hotbeds where they can cultivate talent. There's no that's now some obviously might be bigger than others, but they all definitely have. There's a lot of soccer being played in this country, and at all levels, and that's something that I think Dallas has found and taken advantage of.
Dallas has
Are we going to have any CantinaMX coverage of that match?
Man, I would love to go, but I'm producing a game tomorrow, so my Frisco's a long way from here. But I think Fernando might be going. He said he has a day off, so maybe we might have Fernando there.
Cheekies, I thought you were talking about going.
I'm tempted, but it is sort of far. For sure, if they pass out of Unido, then I'll go to the next one because I think they play Pachuca.
Yeah, Pachuca or Saprissa.
Yeah, that one I would for sure go.
How did today? Do you guys know how today's game ended?
It was a 0-0 tie, I believe. That's what was on the chat.
They had chances, but they couldn't put them in. Chucky couldn't put them in.
Yeah, Pachuca looked good, man. From what I saw.
They had some chances. It wasn't just Chucky that means.
But apparently, according to Beto, he's just a 100% pecho frio, so wasn't able to win the game. Am I correct?
Yeah, Joel was the one that started that, but then now I'm becoming a believer.
What are you talking about?
The pecho frio Chucky.
Oh yeah, he is. That's what he's missing.
I do think, man, dude. I wish I was wrong. Like, I wish I didn't believe you in that, but I think you got a point, man.
It was similar to you guys were talking about Chelito Delgado. Chelito will kill it during the regular season. He would be unstoppable, and then once the liguilla started, he just shut off. Se apagaba. He was.
I've always found that fascinating, just how the moment could just totally change the way a player plays.
I mean,
depending on the situation,
look at the way that Gignac reacts in the league. Man, he goes nuts, man. He loves it.
Yeah, you know what that we didn't even talk about that.
Gignac?
That whole mess that happened in Veracruz.
We talked about it a little bit. Hey, Chiquis, why don't we end the podcast and then we can continue some of these conversations?
Yeah.
You've been holding the listeners hostage.
That's right.
For too long.